Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Wailed On. Today's guest is The Disconnect. You may know him as that Zillion top guy from Challenger ELO. He regularly streams on Twitch. He has previously played with the Bomb Planters at SEL 5. Today we're going to talk about his time playing in high ELO, streaming, and competitive leagues. I hope you enjoyed my Yamato. Oh, fuck up, fuck up.
You're leaving that one in, mate.
Yeah,
This
I
is
know
the
that.
real one.
I
Let's
meant to, I meant
go.
to do my real voice there. Fuck.
This is the real one.
Is this the real one? Right,
This is
okay.
the real one. You're not leaving this one out.
Okay. I hope you
First
enjoy.
question.
Wait, I need to wrap it up. I need to wrap it up. Okay.
All right.
I hope you enjoyed my Yamato Cannon impression. I was listening to him all last week. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties. I'd like to thank Jamie for his time sitting down with me again. Hopefully, no more technical difficulties this time around. Okay, what's your full name, your online handle, age, and where did you grow up?
My name's Jamie. I live in Edinburgh, obviously. And I go by the Disconnect. All people call me a lot of things because I've played WoW, so people call me different things. But generally, if you're playing League, you're gonna call me the Disconnect. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay,
And I play League
he
and some other
plays
games.
League. Yeah.
Some
So
League.
how did you find out about League of Legends?
How I found out about League of Legends. Oh yeah, old school sort of YouTube uh gaming series by Total Biscuit called WTF is,
Hmm.
which is, and he did a series on WTF is League of Legends. And back in the day, League of Legends was like a totally dead game. It was like a Dota clone, right?
Hmm.
That's what everyone would call it. Dota clone, it's kind of silly game. It's like you look at the League of Legends clones, they're like with Shrek characters and stuff. It was as a meme as that, really. I remember seeing him play it and being like, this game looks really fun, but like, what if someone knows I'm playing this? They'll make fun of me. So I played League on my own, and I remember my brother coming into my room and seeing what I was playing and being like, "This game looks like there's some shit Dota clone," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? It was terrible. I hate it." Even though I was having fun, obviously it's my older brother, so I'm telling him that it was terrible. Um, and then before I know it, a few weeks later, my brother's playing, my oldest brother's playing, all my friends are playing, all of their friends are playing. There's like 50 of us in this big, like, sort of semi group all playing
Hmm.
together. So I just from there, yeah, I've pretty much played since. I've taken a few breaks, like a year here, half a year there, but pretty much been playing the whole time
Hmm.
since
I
season
mean,
two.
people that always play it anyway still call the game shit. So I mean, it's no
I love League. I'm not one of those people. I love League.
it's
Not not some of the champions, but I love the game. The game's great.
it's just it's love hate with a lot of people. I think, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, I don't know. I love the game, even when I'm
Yeah.
losing.
Okay.
Bittersweet though.
So what was your first experience like? You said about you were playing it and you thought it was like a bit of a Dota clone, but do you remember like who you were playing or what was it like? Do you remember?
Yeah, I have this thing in games where no matter the game, anyone who's played games with me knows this. I just the second I play a game, I'm going for the weird thing. Immediately, I'm doing the weird thing, and the weird thing's not even like so. Some people they think they're doing the weird thing. I'm like one level above that, so they think, "Oh, Timo, that's kind of weird and silly. That's annoying." I'm going a step further. I'd be like Timo jungle with like the wrong items. Like that's what I used
Right.
to do in League. So I would just go in and I play. What's the worst, stupidest thing I could do? And I'll play it. So I used to play everything. I used to play mid Nami with a Ginsu. So I used to play top Ash. I used to play like everything. But the first things I did play was like Zerath and Cho'Gath because that was in the WTF is video by Tolbiscuit. He was playing
Mm.
Cho'Gath, so I came in and I played Cho'Gath. And I just liked all these cool champs. I feel like it was a little bit of a different change of pace from some other games where you go play like a game like I don't know, like CS:GO, and everything's quite like serious and it's very hyper competitive. And you go into League at that in season two, and it was very like I don't know. Cho'Gath says funny British lines because you have a British skin on. It's a bit
Hmm.
silly, and I really like that. I like the sort of more casual aspect of League, and that's all I used to do. Play like AP Rangar, AP Sejuani, AD Annie, whatever was going.
Hmm.
I would play the silly stuff. So that was always what I used to do, and that was for a long time. I did that. Maybe for like I climbed in. So I played in season 2. I didn't play ranked. I played in season 3. I was a Garen one trick, and I built AP. I played AP Garen in gold because I thought it was really funny because he had no AP scalings.
Right.
That was how my brain works. Is he has no AP scalings, so I'm gonna build AP on Garen, and you'd have a DFG, which used to be an item which
Yeah.
nuked their resists, and you'd have Sork boots, and you'd ult them on Garen, and it would do like 1.5k damage. It was just 100 to 0 a tank at like 70% HP,
Oh my
and
god.
that got me going so hard. And that's I've kind of always played like that till the bitter end. I'm still doing that kind of.
Do you
But yeah.
know that this is a lot like one of my other friends? He he grew up playing Call of Duty 4, right? And we were playing Warzone recently, and this guy's sole purpose is to just hear the death com of being killed by something so ridiculous, like the crossbow from like 300 meters away.
Oh
Just to hear the
yeah.
death com, like he doesn't care about just beating people the normal way. He just wants to hear them like raging, uh, being killed by the most ridiculous thing ever.
You but like COD, I did that. I'm not really a COD player, but I am. I did play it, and my very short time playing it was the only thing I wanted to do was run around with C4 and a riot shield, because that just seemed like so annoying. Like I just liked finding the spot on the map that you could crouch in with a riot shield up, where you were like literally unkillable, other
uh,
than to like a really well placed grenade, and that just got me going.
uh,
I don't know what's like. So your friend sounds like we
I
would get on in terms
think
of
so.
our understanding of the game.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, see if he wanted to turn it on, he's ridiculous. But like, he just loved
Mhm.
just messing with people. So,
Yeah, yeah. I see
okay,
what you say there though is I feel like I turn it on while I'm messing about.
right, okay.
That's the thing is I've no I can't turn it on like I mean in the tournament we'll talk about this in a bit, but like I
Hmm.
can't turn it on and start playing Zed. I
Hmm.
don't have that capability. I'll turn it on and I'll play my stupid thing to a level that's good enough to win. Yeah.
Right,
So
right, okay. Yeah, that's
I'll
interesting.
be winning ranked games of Call of Duty with a riot shield. You know.
Okay. What is your main role in League of Legends, and what made you decide to play that?
um. Yeah, kinda so for the majority of League for me, I'm a player who I don't really play a role. I play champs that I like. So I got into League and I played Victor because I thought Victor looks cool. He's my first skin that I ever have because of that. And literally I played him because I thought his skin was cool. I liked the full machine. He was like wearing
Mm,
full gold. It's just cool. I liked his item. That was cool. I never pick champs or whatever because I think they're good or anything. I just think they're cool. So for me, I've never really made a role. I've kind of played everything. The only thing I haven't played that much is nah, that's lying actually. I've kind of played everything, yeah, because my top three champs are Zillion, Riven, and Nidalee,
mm-hmm,
and you might think there's absolutely nothing in common with any of them, uh, and there kind of isn't. They're all kind of high APM, spammy, high skilled champs. People say Zillion's probably not very high skilled, but go play it then.
mm-hmm,
Anyways, I just love playing all the roles, and I think what happened to me is I ended up playing top because in when I used to play, I played a lot of normals with my friends because I like playing with my friends. I would always get put top because none of my friends played top, so I would just be top every game. I didn't really even want to play top. I was just I don't really care enough, so I would play top, and I'm the guy who can play everywhere. There's some of my friends who like all they can do is they can jungle, or all they can do is they can support, whatever, right? And I'm the guy who can play anywhere, so I always get shafted to the top lane. And I played Riven, I played Zillion, and Zillion just kind of worked in top. And if you're on EU West high elo and you queue mid top lane, which is what I used to queue, you're basically just queuing top lane 90% of games, maybe even more than that, you'll get top if you queue mid top. So I just ended up learning top lane Zillion by accident because I just kept getting filled there over and over and over and over. That got to the point where I just main top Zillion now, I guess.
mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, cool.
Mm,
Yeah, like you mentioned about Victor, like having
mhm.
the item and stuff like that, and was he maybe like one of the first kind of thematic champions, like, and then you started to get like Kha'Zix and Rengar, where there was like this kind of like story behind them and like kind of more.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a season 3 moment for Riot. So Riot used to make like white girl champs, like here's Caitlyn, the white girl with a gun. It's like zero inspiration. Her name's Caitlyn. It's just a bit boring. Like people like Caitlyn and all, but it's just Lux into your Caitlyn, into MF, into all these sort of season
Mm,
one, season two champs.
mhm,
And I think that they stopped doing that as much, and then they started going into like Kha'Zix. That's a lot
mm,
more like thought that's been put into a champion, or even stuff like Zac and
mhm,
Zed and Yasuo. These are all season three champions. These were really popular champs of
mhm,
Zed and
mhm,
Yasuo, the big winner champs for Riot. Really, I think Jinx was maybe season four. I actually can't remember at this point, but
mm.
I feel like most
Fair
of their
enough.
successful champs are around three and four. I don't know what they were doing then. It just seemed to work really well. But none of them stuck out to me though. Those champs, because I think I like the older silly ones where someone was in the boardroom and thought, wouldn't it be funny if there was like an old man floating around with a clock on his back? And someone was like, yeah, it'd be kind of funny. Let's just chuck it in because they were making like a champ every week back then,
Oh
whereas
yeah,
now they
yeah,
make
for
it like
sure.
every few months. So
Hmm. Yeah, they're a bit more
yeah,
refined nowadays, aren't they? There's like the
yeah,
whole lore behind
yeah.
them and all that. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, some of these, yeah, characters, like you're saying about Zillion, the old guy with a clock in his back.
You would never get made today. It's
Yeah,
just its character doesn't make any sense. Why
yeah.
is he even an old guy floating around with a clock? Why is he throwing bombs? What's that got to do with time? I have no idea, but
Yeah.
he throws time bombs. So yeah,
And just like even with the lore of some of these characters, it was all like retrospective. It was just like, it seems like a good concept for a character, like a big
yeah,
Minotaur guy that knocks people up. Fuck it, throw him in, and
yeah,
we'll just come
yeah,
up with
exactly.
something or whatever. Like,
Oh, yeah, exactly.
big.
I like the older designs better because they were a bit more whimsical and silly, and that's what I prefer. I don't play any new champs really. I don't
Mm,
really like
mhm.
them.
Fair enough, yeah. What made you decide to get into streaming then?
Um, yeah, I think I could kind of complicated question to answer, but I think always in the back of my mind, I kind of wanted to stream probably a little bit.
Hmm.
Everyone likes to see. I didn't necessarily want to stream. I just kind of like wanted people to talk to about my gaming that cared about what I was doing. Because a lot of time, like you go out with your friends and you're doing stuff, and like, mate, like I'm not gonna go out to a pub and talk about Zillion. That's a bit weird, right? Okay, I'm not gonna do that. It's not as like even though I want to do that, but what I mean. So, but when you're in your stream, yeah, I could talk for days about Zillion. I could,
Hmm.
and League, and lots of other things. And I think a lot of other things that really hit me was stuff like toxicity and the fact that you can be nice and challenger really annoy me when I'd see like most people in like high elo streams are just a lot of them are pretty toxic or they kind of promote the idea that to be good you need to be a bit of an asshole and I always really didn't like that so that was always something that was in the back of my mind but I always thought nah I can't be bothered but I would get it all the time people would message me being like hey man can you link me your stream and I go I don't stream and they're like oh can you link me your YouTube then I'm like I don't have any YouTube videos and they're
Hmm.
like why not and I remember one guy said to me, "If I was the rank that you are, I would be streaming every day, all day, and I'm sitting here grinding away in diamond, and I just can't make it, and I want to make it so bad, and I'm so jealous, and you're an idiot for not streaming." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough." I kind of put it into perspective for me, and he said, "Like, just for me, can you go stream, please? Because I'm annoyed that you're not." And I was like, "Okay." And then a few of my friends were kind of here and there with it. And yeah, I just started streaming one day randomly, and there I am. But no, the very little of myself was pushing me. It was all my friends and people that I'd met on League and stuff.
Hmm.
And even to this day, I don't really stream for myself, to be honest. I kind of just like the people that I know. So yeah.
I mean, it's we talked about doing things that kind of push you out of your comfort zone. Was this something that done that for you in a sense? Like,
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of people might be a little skeptical of this, but especially people who watch my stream. I do say this on stream sometimes, though. But I used to be, even a few years ago, we're talking 2, 3 years ago, like absolutely unable to talk to people. I was useless. Socially inept garbage, like the kind of person who was cowering in the corner in a party, talking to nobody, blah blah blah, right? I was useless. And then streaming, plus a few other things in my life here there, it just all seemed to come together. And when I was on stream, I'm like I feel electric. Whether or not I am electric on the stream is up to you, but I feel like I'm like in the mood. I'm in the moment.
Hmm.
I'm even right now. I'm just like talking. It's fun. It makes me happy genuinely, even if I'm just talking about garbage. Like I just so yeah
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I
So
think you're right.
there was maybe some apprehension at first, and then you got into it, and then you were like, "This is great fun, man. Why am I not doing
Yeah, I
this?"
think I used to be. I think anyone who's just started streaming is very conscious. They're very conscious of like, is my game going well, or like, am I being this, or am I being that, or is like. Whereas when I turn on my stream, I'm like, "Hello, it's me. Let's play a game," and I'll probably lose. I don't really care, whatever. Like, it's fine. And I think once you get into that moment in streaming, to anyone out there who wants to start streaming, it's pretty liberating.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
don't worry so much. That's my advice.
It was interesting what you said about like like going out with your friends, and you were like, "Oh, I probably should talk about leak stuff to them."
No,
There,
yeah, exactly.
there was this meme that I seen the other day, and it was like
Mhm.
this guy, and it's like he says something that he would say to one of his friends groups, but he says it to rather than friends group A, he says it to friends group B, and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, why did I say that, man? Why why it was and it was like a leak. Someone had twisted it to like a League of Legends meme, and it was like, uh, you guys ever astroglided in Pistol recently?
I love that phrase. But I use that in real life as well, though. I feel like you can bring league phrases to real life as well.
Ah,
But I'm at risk of like if I'm talking to someone at like so I used to do like volunteering in a school, and this is like teachers and school vibe. And I would be like, I'll drop a pen and I'll say something, oh, I entered that.
yeah.
And I'll think to myself, wait, that's not English. Inted is not an English
It's
word. It's
not.
not. And they'll go, what? My worst one. This is so bad. This is I'm too much of a gamer and spend too much time on the internet. Is instead of saying people's age, I say their level. That kid is level 13. And then I'm like, no, 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 no. Age, right?
Oh my
Age. No,
god.
he's not a level. He's not a League of Legends character. Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about saying like gamer speak in real life and things like that, like
Yeah.
things that you're like, wait, these people won't understand that I'm saying what that means, like because it's
Hmm.
so niche to whatever you're playing, right? Like I don't know,
Oh yeah.
like inted, like
Inted's got to come mainstream though, because that's too good a word. I love that word. Like a lot of other league phrases that I don't really care about.
it's
Inted
I
is
mean,
funny.
it's already like I mean, like it's intentionally. I intentionally done something right. Like is where
Hmm.
you intentionally threw it, or you intentionally fed, or
Yeah,
whatever
it's a short
intention.
word for yeah. I feel like it has so many. Like you go to buy something and you think it's a quid and it ends up being 3.5 quid, and your mate goes, "Man, you just fucking inted," and you're like, "Yeah, that's an in. I just inted 2.5 quid there." Like, oh, it just feels so right to me to say that.
Yeah,
I can't think
it's
of a
funny.
better word for that moment.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Like it's just the internet culture, right? Like things,
Yeah, I mean,
especially
LOL became
nowadays.
mainstream, so
Yeah,
who knows?
like lots of things just they get on the internet, and then enough. It's like memes, right? Memes are like like we were actually talking about this. Like things like that are organic, and they just happen because like people decide that they should happen, sort of thing. It's not like
Just it's bizarre. It's totally
mm,
bizarre. Like you can't make something go viral. Like I couldn't make a word. Like I can't come up with you right now. What's the next league word going to be? We have
yeah.
no
What's
idea.
the
In a few
next
months, there'll be
buzzword?
a new league phrase,
Yeah,
and it could be like the word donked comes
yeah.
in, and everyone's like, "Oh, I just donked that guy in a gank," or "I donked this guy." I don't know. Probably not, but you never know. The next word comes creeping up, and then all of a sudden, I'm hearing people going like "pisslow." Okay, pisslow's the new thing that we're saying now, I guess. Okay, so.
It's yeah, it's funny how things come about. But okay, so we talked about how you got into streaming and things like that.
Mhm.
Were there any other games that you were competitive in before, or that you're competitive in right now? This could be
Uh,
sports as well, or whatever, anything.
Competitive, no. I went to a chess tournament once, actually. Now you've
Hmm.
said that. That's kind of a sport. I lost. miserably and never went back. But actually, that's not true. I think I went to a few. Maybe I went to one or two chess
Okay.
tournaments when I was like 11. I was awful. Like I was so awful. I remember I would just try and set my pieces up in a way in which it was like a castle. Like I would just play defensively. I had no understanding or concept of the game at all. I just knew the rules. That was about it.
Right.
And I would
Okay.
play against like 7-year-olds and have a tough time. Anyway, any game? Kinda not. No, not really. Nothing competitive. I used to play WoW quite a lot. Like I was quite into WoW, and I would like do mythic raiding and at a pretty high level. I used to raid lead as well. So,
Hmm.
but no, not really. Most games I try really hard in, like in League, for example. I will
Hmm.
try really hard, but I'm not gonna go competitive.
I mean,
I'll be very good. I really care about being good. I'm just not competitive though.
yeah,
Mhm.
the thing is, it doesn't need to be I entered the competition. It could be, well,
Mhm.
for me, I would say I was competitive in a game called Time Splitters, and this was
Never heard of it.
basically we would go round to my friend's house on a I would go to his house on a Monday night, and four of us would play split screen, and then they'd come to
Mm.
my house on a Thursday and we'd play
Fair
split
enough.
screen. So there was like the arrival there with my friends group or whatever that would play that game. Like we would get really into it or whatever. So it could be even something like that. Like,
Then in that way, pretty much every game I've ever played, I can't play a game without
right,
trying.
okay.
It's not. There's some people who will just play a game casually.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely could I play a game casually. If it's like physically impossible to not play casually, like a story game, you can't try
Mm-hmm.
hard a story game. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I get bored of games that are too easy, and I want to play something that's like super challenging that I can get into. That has like a lot of depth and a lot of, you know, I want the game to be like requiring 100% of my brain to
Mm-hmm.
win, and then I'm in, and that's why games like League are so fun, and other card games as well. I'm holding a Magic deck right now. I like
All
Magic
right,
as well
okay.
for the same reason. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. A lot of people I know that play League are also into Magic. I've heard quite a few people being into it. It was
I think, yeah, Magic's just one of those things that I think initially is super daunting because it sounds like mega nerd stuff. That you're like, oh, I can't get into that. Whereas like, it's really not very complicated at all. It's
hmm
really not. You just play a few games with someone, and you're like, oh, okay, right. It's pretty simple. And then
hmm
and then it's really easy to play casually as well because it's really cheap to play casually. It's like you could play this game in a 1v1 with someone for like 7 quid.
hmm
Easy, no question. But it's just I think people get daunted because they see like £3,000 cards on like social media or whatever. It's like that's mate, you can get into that if you want, but like this deck I'm holding right now probably costs me like £5,
hmm
and it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
So yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the things when I first arrived here in Canada. I have two friends here who play Magic, and they were going to a
Hmm.
tournament, and there was people who are
Hmm.
playing in like the like the brackets or whatever the groups to try and quite
Yeah, yeah,
like achieve a rank there. And then there was this guy who was just playing. It was called Cube. He kind of described it like that
yeah, yeah,
he
cube,
has
yeah.
a pre-organized deck that and the way he would draft it as like there was three in a row, and you would pick like say you wanted that row because
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
three, these would be eliminated, and then you could either pick the three in a row there or two in a row, two in a row, two in a row sort of thing. Like there
Oh,
was things like
that's
that.
interesting.
It was cool,
Okay.
and like I like that sort of thing, like where there's a bit of creativity. And the thing was, his the way he'd set up his cube was that it wasn't just like all these expensive cards. It was like basically like a budget card deck that was just
It,
super low cost, and it was
it's so
cool.
easy to play for fun for
Hmm.
cheap in Magic. If you want to be competitive, you are spending like a grand minimum.
Yep.
You want to just play for fun, mate, like I said, this deck cost me like £5. You can just order it online, comes to your house, and the next day, boom, bam, easy done. It's really, really that easy.
Hmm.
Yep. And most of your friends will probably be on the same wavelength there, because most people aren't spending a grand, so
Hmm. Hmm.
it'll be pretty chill to play fun and fair games. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting. Let's talk about SEL 5. This is your first competitive league tournament, right? Um,
Hmm.
how did that all come about?
Yeah, I like this one a lot, and I listened to Flashy talk about this one on the last on his episode on the podcast, and he described it a little bit differently, which is funny because the way I always remembered it was so like unintentional. He messaged me basically being like, "Yo, do you know anyone do you know any Scottish players?" I didn't actually know who Flashy was at all. He'd maybe been in my stream like once or something, or he's a follower. I don't remember his name or anything. He just messaged me out of the blue and is like, "Hey, do you like know anyone who's like around D2 level that would play in this tournament?" And links me to SEL tournament. And I replied to him being like, "No, I don't know anyone. Sorry, man." And he goes, "Oh, okay, like, no problem, dude. Like, yeah, good luck or whatever." And I just typed to him like, "What's your team? Like, who are you playing with?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm playing with like these people." And I'm like, "Here, man, I'll come play. That sounds funny." And he was like, "Really?" He's like, "Oh, okay, like, sure, let's go." And that was that. I'd never met the guy before. I didn't even really know of existence. He just messaged me out of the blue, and I joined. Then we do. So we have never played together at all. Bear in mind, I don't know any of the teammates at all. I go in to we're in a group chat. I don't know anyone, and they type, maybe we should do a practice game as a team or something before the tournament. I guess we can't find a scrim. We fail to find clash, and one of our players isn't there. I think it was Roy that wasn't there. Or it might have been Chris. I can't remember. I think it was Chris G that wasn't there. I'm not 100%. What Someone was missing.
Someone couldn't
So
make
we were
it.
four people doing flex. Okay, and we were just sprinting it. Like 3 games, we had 3 games. We lost every game, and we all played terribly every game. I'm pretty sure. Maybe like somebody played well, but generally speaking, it was awful. That was our practice before SEL5. It was 3 games of flex, never met before, playing awful. And then we go into the 3 games, the group stage, playing against the last in the playing against the SEL4 what finalists or semi-finalists? I think
They won it.
finalists.
Yeah, finals. It
So we
was
open up with
yeah.
the with the with the finalists of SEL4 with our total skeleton crew goon squad of we're trying, but we were trolling. You know what I mean? Like we were trying. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we were like, this is going to be a bit of a laugh. We wanted to win, but we didn't expect to win. We kind of went in a bit like, and we just played a 60-minute banger. It was awesome, and we won. And I think we played to our strengths. I think that first game we played, we actually accidentally played to our strengths.
Mm,
Flashy on Udyr, awesome.
hmm
Chris G on Victor mid, me on Riven, and then Roy and Bum Clean on CC bot laners.
hmm
Ash Seraphine, awesome. That literally was like exactly what we were good at, and I think we managed to bring the 60-minute game to a win because we picked a good comp. Super fun game, awesome, and then the next game was a complete free win against the bronze players. Yeah, and then we got destroyed in the next game. Like, wasn't even close. I picked Lux, man. I don't know why I was smoking before that game, but Jesus Christ. This is what I mean, though. We had no practice as a team. We had no idea what we were picking. No, there was barely any comms. I remember at one point in the game versus uh Saltire,
Saltire. Yeah.
where Sejuani ult just flies over the mid wall and hits me on Lux in mid. And I'm like, hello? I'm like, why is there Sejuani in my lane? And no one has said anything. And Chris G just goes, oh, yeah, my bad. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe we should work on communication as a team. And I remember after the game, I was like, guys, I went like 1-7 this game. That's on me. Okay, that is on me. I'm fully taking responsibility for my int. But maybe if we're playing a team game, we should communicate at some point about anything. Because like there was a Thresh in my lane with no communication. There was a Sejuani in my lane with no communication. I was like, what is going on? But I think that we learned a lot from that loss. And I think realistically, if you look at the finals, even with a lot of practice together, we were never winning that game. It's
hmm
fine. I'm not mad about that. They're the better team. No big deal. But yeah, we probably could have played a closer game than that. We got kind of annihilated. There were some unlucky moments here or there, but I think I played really badly. And I think anyway, um, there were the group stages. So yeah, I can keep going if you want, unless you want to ask something else. But I can
No,
just run down the tournament. But if you want to ask something specific, but
the
that's
only
kind of
thing
how
I
it all
was gonna
started.
say was maybe like about it. Well, you didn't get any practice, but did you have any reads on some of the players before you were going into the tournament? Like, did you have ideas about like what you could play and stuff?
So I knew quite literally zero of the players in the tournament. I've never met any of them. I've never played with any of them. I didn't know of any of their strengths or weaknesses or at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
I know nothing about SEL4, SEL3. I didn't even know SEL was a thing. I knew nothing about anything. I was useless in this regard. Flashy, slashy, Paul. This man is a Scottish esports historian. He comes in with just like he's listing off all the players. He's like, yeah, this guy's good at this. This guy's the OTP of this. You need to ban this out. You need to pick that into this guy. This guy does this jungle clear exactly. I'm sitting there thinking like, you know which fucking camps he's gonna clear before he's cleared them in a game. I'm like, what do you even mean? Like, I'm sitting here being like, I don't even know what my opponent is good at. I look at his OPGG for a few seconds. That's about my experience, right? So no, Flashy Slashy was absolutely running the 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 research for our team for sure. Like he would come in. Flashy's a humble guy. Okay, he'll come in, lay down all of this info and give you everything, and then go, yeah, I've been practicing these like 6 different junglers in like all these different positions with different item builds and bliss and this and this. And he's like, do you think that works around what you're doing? Disconnect.
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, I'm gonna play mid Malphite. Like, I don't know. Like, you don't need a workaround. Like, I can't. I have no ability to communicate a workaround here. Like, I'm gonna play my stupid pick, and you're gonna have to do something about that. And Fash's like, yeah, no worries, man. Like, if you want a gank, like I'll just. And I'll be like, wouldn't it be funny if we like invaded their Raptors at like level 2 as like level 2 Sejuani Karma? And Fash be like, yeah, I can definitely make that work. I can do this clear to this. He's just up for everything. He's there. He's in the thick of it, and I like that a lot. He was a really fun player to play with, and but no, the rest of the team, we had our communication moments. I think the bot lane was pretty much solved by our bot lane as well. We had some talks like about what we're playing in the bot lane and stuff, but for the most part, everyone was kind of sticking to their own role, except for me and Chris G, of course, where we would swap depending on what the opponents played. So this was the research thing was like if the opponent played matchups that were good into my sort of silly picks, Chris G would go mid and play like his famous Victor, which was awesome
Mhm.
in the 60
Mhm.
minute game, for example. And I would play top into skill matchups, like I play Riven into Fiora, for example, and I'm really confident in that kind of matchup. So yeah, knowing what we were playing against was really important for the flex picks for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
No, it was yeah, it was interesting like that you had that adaptability. Like most of the teams, it was kind of predefined. They'll play whatever role they kind of agreed on or whatever when forming the team. But you and
yeah,
Chris done really well with your flexes.
it was awesome. Yeah, I
Uh,
I liked it a lot.
one of the things that actually came out with talking to Paul was that you had a bit of influence on the draft, and I wouldn't necessarily say it was like, oh, we pick these. It was more like kind of we're missing something. This is what we need. What do you have that might fill that void or whatever, or what
You
the need that we need?
you're absolutely right. I think a lot of the time, especially early on when we were drafting as a team, I'd kind of come in and we would be playing scrims. So this is kind of in our scrim period. So after we'd won the 2 out of the 3 games we needed to win,
Mm-hmm,
or that we won the 2 games in the group stages and we were actually through. We then actually started scrimming, and we scrimmed quite a lot actually. Maybe like 7 to 10 games, which for like a not super high game count tournament. That's we were playing a decent amount as a team. We actually got to the point where we lost a lot of the early scrims. We weren't very good, and then we just started like crushing all the scrims, and we were like, yeah, man, we're actually playing the game well. And I think all the ones we lost were pretty high. There was like everyone was like 400 LP on the enemy team, for example, that kind of thing.
mm-hmm,
Um, but no, we had some awesome games. We were just like totally stomping. We were playing a lot of different stuff, and we kind of found some synergies. And I think there was a lot of games where, as a solo queue sort of veteran over the years, I see a team comp and I just kind of go like, we need to pick X champ or X type of champ, or we just lost.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I can't really exactly explain why I think that a lot of the time. I'm not an analyst. I'm not the kind of person who's very good at drafting and stuff, but I just have this like intuition where like we can't pick this champ here, or like, yeah, this is the freest whenever we pick this and then they do this and they do this. I think one of the biggest ones was the ultimate. We'll segue into the semifinals here, so the games after the groups, which were against Reclusive, and they clearly didn't do their homework, right? Because
Mm.
we had talked. We're like, what we're gonna do is we're gonna absolutely bamboozle them in game two. We're gonna play normally in game one. We ended up losing doing that. Okay.
Mm.
I can't remember exactly. I played Cassio mid. That's a thing that's expected of me. I did actually pretty well. There were some pretty sick moments where I got some nice flash ults and stuff, but I ended
Mhm.
up trolling the game and giving Graves like a 1k shutdown or something. So I was the reason why we were winning, and then I was the reason why we lost. So yeah. Game two, one loss in the best of three. We uh we just tried to whap out the sort of pocket pick secret tech that we've been practicing in scrims, and this was pick Malphite round one on the draft. They ban out all my mid laners, thinking that I'm playing mid. Uh, then it goes to our draft pick like round two, and then Chris G locks in top laner Camille. And then they're like, wait, it's Malphite mid. And we've just picked something kind of bad into mid Malphite.
Mm.
Syndra is not great into mid Malphite. She's okay. It was fine. The problem that they had though is they were running like they think they had a like squishy support Ezreal, Syndra, these champs just get exploded by Malphite. Like what you want
Mm.
versus Malphite is you want your like Thresh, your tanky stuff, or whatever. I think maybe they were actually playing Maokai. Yeah, no, they're playing Maokai, which you think would be quite good, but the problem is Maokai support builds AP. He just got destroyed. I
Mm.
remember there was a one moment in the game where I just walked down and I just smacked him, and that was the game kind of on repeat. I think until obviously there was a crazy moment towards the end where
Mhm.
we were about to lose, and I altered the minion wave and crazy game, honestly. I can't even explain that. You just watch that game. That was a great game. Second game of the semifinals of SCL5. That was the best game I've ever played. That was what made the tournament for me was that series. You know what? After we'd won the semifinals, I was like, man, I don't care if we win the finals. That was awesome. That was super fun. No big deal. And I loved my team in that game in that series as well. We came back as a team. We smurfed it. It was fantastic.
No, that's great. And I would say the bomb planners seem to get a lot of fan support in the Twitch chat because some of the games just had like the 60-minute
Uh,
one and then those games against Reclusive, man, they were great. They were some of the highlights of the SEO5 for sure. Yeah.
oh man, thanks to big up to my stream probably viewers and friends as well of just running some serious interference in the Twitch chat for bomb planners. You know, they were dominating the sort of support. Um, oh, that was hilarious. Like just looking at that in the after fact, like looking at the stream and all my friends are like, it was just a really nice feeling to have all my friends like be there and support and stuff, and it was really nice. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think one of Chris G's friends put in like one of the like sort of copy paste memes, you know, of like who is Chris G? You know, he is liquid when you need water or whatever the fuck it is. I can't remember. Like he is the eyes when we are blind or something. And then one of my friends just copy pasted it and replaced it with mine. And then like, dude, there's just like 20 lines of this in the chat. Like it's just going wild. So yeah, pretty awesome to have that kind of support. It was really fun, especially when we were losing. By the way, this was when we
Oh,
were
true.
down a game and losing the second game, and it's still people like, "Don't worry, reverse sweep, we've got this," and
Hmm.
that's just awesome to see. It was really fun.
No, that's good, man. And then going into the finals, obviously up against it. You said like Soloqueue seemed like a really strong team. Did you get
Oh yeah.
any reads from the first game you played in the groups?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, so I'm an anxious player. Okay, you might think challenger player, super ego, big ego, thinks he's the best or whatever, knows he's the best. No. Like I after losing that game, man, I was like, how the hell are we gonna win? I was thinking to myself the whole time, like, I can't beat their mid laner. That's why I thought to myself. I was like, after this first game, like I know I was playing Lux and I'm a bit of a trolling noob, but I was like, if they ban out the champs I'm good at,
Mm.
and I have to lane a fair, like I'm not a fair player. If you know, if you've looked at my like League of Legends history, it's like top Jarvan. It's like running around as Garen. It's Zillion. It's Soraka top. It's Karma mid. I'm not playing the game fair. I'm playing my own stupid game. If you put me in a fair matchup with Vossen, I just probably can't win. He's a really good
Mm.
player, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew that he was a really good player. And I think the problem was I wasn't actually playing that much League at this point. I was a little bit disillusioned with rank, and I actually didn't play that much League before the tournament. I think for the last maybe 2 weeks before the tournament, I barely played League. I think I played some scrims. And that was it. So I wasn't really super like in the practice zone, and I also hadn't put the effort in to learn a pick or two to deal with this matchup versus Vossen that
Mm,
I just don't think I was particularly prepared for.
mm,
And I think the problem was our team was already a bit of a rickety bridge in terms of like all the matchups across the board were either coin flips or not favored for us.
mm, mm.
And for me, to also be not favored kind of meant it was zero chance of winning. I think I needed to really pull more weight, and that's not an insult to the team. I think everyone kind of knows that they were maybe a little bit unfavored in their matchup, or
Yeah.
it
Hmm.
was even. So top lane Chris G versus Donut, I think,
Yeah.
if I'm getting that right. Obviously that's a super Donut's great player. Chris G's great player. That's no like I can't rely on Chris G to carry. Flashy in the jungle. Flashy was for the tournament. He was playing like sort of more tanks, like his Sejuani, his Udyr. He's not really a reliable carry, obviously in the champion. I need to play some big AP carry.
Mm,
I just, I think I played Karma in the first game. It didn't really work out. It could have, but I think even like people in the audience and stuff were saying like, you're the challenger guy on the team. You needed to pick something more something more than Karma, and I think it's tough to say. I think Karma was viable, and I think if we had a like when Clean have a bit more of a good game, I think he had a bit of a rough game in the first
right.
match, and
Okay.
that was the problem that we ran into is we didn't have a carry in the first game, I think, and then in the second game, that was a heartbreaker of a game to be honest, a little bit because there was this awesome moment in the jungle on the top side towards the end where they have what's his name Gigi, is that his name? Am I
GG
getting that
the
right?
carry. Yeah.
Yeah, on Varus, and he's like really fed, okay, and we actually catch him out. I can't remember what we catch him with, but we catch him maybe with an ash arrow or something.
Yeah.
Can't remember. And we just get on him, and I'm Fiora, and I'm on top of him, and I just don't press W quick enough, and I get like a million damage things on me, and then I W.
Oh,
So the problem is I was like on 20% HP when I W'd, and then I got like a part of an ult off, but not quite. And if I just W'd earlier, I think the Varus would have died. And if the Varus died, we would have aced them. But what happened is I died. Varus like triumph procs off killing me,
right. Mm-hmm.
living on like 1 HP, and he like quadra kills our whole team
Oh.
on 1 HP. He like literally 1v4s our whole team. He's like the only one alive,
Mm,
and he kills everybody. And it was one of those moments where we're like, damn man, like like we're the underdogs. I didn't expect to win, but this one felt a little bit like And then what happened? This was crazy after this in this game. We had a team fight like around our nexus on the inhib.
mm,
And we aced them. I think we killed all of them. And I got loads of gold on Fiora. We were talking as a team like, nice, nice man, we're coming back, we're coming back. Like I think Bumclean got like 3 shutdowns. I think he was playing Jinx actually, and he was really
mm.
fed. And then I think somebody got caught in the jungle and we lost. It was the most
Ah.
anticlimactic. Like I was like, because I was in base being like, guys, wait 50 gold for my Ravenous Hydra. And like as I said, like wait 50 is like an ally has been slain. And I'm like,
Oh
oh.
no.
It was kind of one of those moments where like I'm not mad at my team at all. Genuinely, I'm not disappointed either, and I don't think I played flawlessly either. It's one of those moments where I feel like that was our comeback moment, and I wish that I felt like I was ready for the comeback. I was fed. I was 3 items of Fiora. I'm like ready to go, and then everyone dies
Ah.
when I'm not there. And it was a bit like of a sad way to lose. I'd rather lose in a blaze of glory in a 5v5 than like being picked off randomly. But of
Mm.
course, like
That can happen, and
that's
they're good
yeah,
players. They
yeah.
found the opportunity. So yeah, it's.
It's probably most often how games end is that kind of way. To be honest, is a little bit of
Mm,
the anticlimactic one rather than a fiery explosion around your nexus at the end. I wish it was a best of five. Even if we went 0-3, I think we probably had one more game in us of picking something different. And I think
mm-hmm.
the Saltar said that as well. They were like, if this goes to like you're 0-2 down, we'll let you pick Zillion, we'll not ban it and stuff like that. And I think that would have probably been more fun. And I also think people in the audience were down for another game. Uh, so I think if we have anything to say about SEL5, make it a best of five in the finals. Come on,
Yeah.
best of three in the finals. That's like it's not. I'm not saying we would have won 3 games in a row. I'm just saying it would have been more exciting. Maybe
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
could have pulled one game off. And no one wants to see a clean sweep. That's not like it's just not fun for anyone. I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, the winning team is pretty fun for, 'em, but other than that,
Yeah. No, it's that's like maybe one of my only criticisms about CL5 is just the tournament format felt a bit shallow. Like they could have spread it out, fleshed out
It
a
was a
bit
bit
more,
weird.
you know.
I,
But I mean,
uh,
it seems like they learn from these things, and none of them are really league players, so they aren't familiar with how the tournament formats go. So I imagine SAL six it'll be good, you know. And
also,
how did you feel about the event? Like this is your first LAN as well, right?
sure, yep. That was
Yeah.
the first time I ever played on a stage of any kind, even something like an event or something. Anyone who played knows. Anyone who played knows exactly the horrors that were on that stage. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not a sound guy. I'm not a sound technician. I'm not very good with computers in general, to be honest. I expected to be able to show up, plug in my headset and my keyboard, and play like I do normally. Fucking no. It was come in, plug in your keyboard and your headset, log into League. Doesn't work. Hey
Mm.
man, hello. My League doesn't work. And some guy comes over in like 5 minutes being like, should work now. And I log in, I'm like, I can't access the practice tool. Guy comes in, it's like, I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't work. Wait there for like 20 minutes, doesn't work. Nobody can get into the practice tool to change their settings, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like the
Oh.
sound. We're using TeamSpeak. Mate, what year is this? Like, I don't know, like what maybe they have some issue with Discord of people like cheating or something.
Mm.
But like TeamSpeak doesn't have the inbuilt noise suppression that Discord does, like right now. Like
Yeah.
I can probably make some noises here and there and you can't really hear them. Oh my god, you could like drop a penny in the corner of that room and my mic would hear
Pick up
every
everything.
single bounce. It was unbelievable. And you're an amphitheater sort of room where the casters are above you with like mics or whatever the sound's coming from everywhere. Sound does this out of the mics. I can hear it through my headset and I can hear it through my mic, which then goes into my headset. So I'm
Oh
getting
my God.
double the casters. I shouldn't be hearing the casters at all, by the way, but I'm getting two of them. So I'm getting what's his name?
Trajan and Dusk,
Trajan
is it?
and
I
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
Dusk, is it?
Is it not? Am I Callahan? Am I making that up? What's that name? I don't know. I'm pulling that out of my ass. Is it Dusk? Is that his name?
I thought it was
I
Dusk,
like them
but
both.
I
I think
could be
they're
wrong.
both good. They're both great casters.
I'm not
But
really
yeah,
sure who done the finals. I know Trajan, but I think
okay.
is it Dusk. I don't know.
I don't
I'm going to have
remember.
to look at this, but
Yeah, no,
go
no.
ahead.
But yeah, I'll keep going while you're looking. So what happens is I hearing Trajan, for example, going, "Oh, and the disconnect's about to be ganked." Twice. Okay, once through my ears, the other through my headset, then into my ears, and then I'm playing, and I'm like, "Am I being ganked?" I'm like, I don't know what to think of this. Like, I'm getting information I probably shouldn't be hearing. It's a mess, and I think one of the best parts of the tournament for me was when I think I died top or I based or something, and I hear Donut say, "I can get a plate top here." That is the enemy top laner that I just heard
Ah,
through my headset. I heard him through my headset, and I was like,
no
who?" I
way.
remember saying like, "Who got a plate top?" And no one's like, "No one on my team is top." And there's a Sejuani taking my plates and top. I'm like, "Mate, that's a fucking enemy teammate in my comms." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Dude, it was a mess. The sound quality was probably some of the worst things I've had in gaming history, but other than that, it was fine. But that was bad. Yeah, not
That's
good.
that's surprising, honestly.
I'm not sure if that's like on us or something, but we seriously tried to get some sound technicianing going on, and it just didn't seem to work. I don't know if that's standard.
Hmm.
Felt like that shouldn't be standard though. I feel like should have had some kind of more like, and I think it just might because maybe what's it called? TeamSpeak
TeamSpeak.
doesn't have like inbuilt noise suppression or something, but I think it was just a lack of noise suppression issue. You just could hear
Mm.
everything. Like I shouldn't be able to hear someone talking across the other side of the room.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Through my headset, not like just hearing them, like because my headset clamps down as well. Like I can, it's pretty noise suppressing as is.
Hmm.
But yeah, I it was a bit of a stressful one as well because there's a lot of people who were late because the trains were like crazy and stuff. But it was even with all of that in mind. By the way, I loved the event. It was super fun, and I loved my team. And yeah, I really enjoyed seeing everybody. And it's a shame I had to go home because I was really ill I was like recovering from 2 COVIDs in a row into a chest infection, so I had to go home like immediately. But
Oh
there
my
was like a
god.
total rager going on after with all the people that came to support me that I wasn't there for. So
Oh, for God's sake.
yeah, yeah.
I'm struggling to find this, the name of the caster. I believe it was Dusk who done,
Is it Dusk?
I
Okay.
think it was Dusk.
Well, shout out to Dusk then.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, yeah,
So I think that's everything on SEL 5, right? Like, I don't know if there's anything else.
seems good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll cut it. Okay. You played in SEL 5. Have you played in any other tournaments or leagues before?
I've played in like the occasional 1v1 or like a silly Discord tournament where there's like a
Hmm.
£10 prize pool. Not to insult a tournament with no prize pool, they can still be competitive and fun and
Hmm.
exciting, but it's more like, the majority of people there will not be like, I'll be way better than everyone. This is the only tournament I've played in where like I've not been way better than everyone. So SEL 5, the only real tournament for me that I've been in. Yeah, I think so. For
Good.
league, yeah.
Okay. Um. Okay. When you think about the game, what percentage do you think the game is about macro versus micro?
That's one of those. This is such a YouTube title question. I
It's,
like it because it's funny, but it's like one of those ones that's like a 6 minute video that's claiming to teach you everything there is about League. Forget
uh-huh.
micro, it's
Yeah.
all macro, or forget macro, it's all micro. Just learn this one quick tip and you'll be challenger. There is no good answer to this, I think.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who tells you that there's a good answer to this is lying or can't be bothered or thinking. And the reason why I think this is, picture yourself as a Malphite main. Requires like no mechanics. As a Malphite main myself, this requires no mechanics. You press Q and R and boom bam. You can get really far playing Malphite. You absolutely can.
Mhm.
Because if you're smart about the game, I think I'm pretty smart about the game. I know maths really well. I know like when a guy's gonna die to a Malphite, or I know what's going to win the game. I know the roaming timers and stuff. And if you play around all of that, you can even play a champ that's kind of bad like Malphite, but has an R press, no mechanics required, who works really well. That'll get you really far. But the problem is micro becomes too important at a certain level. So if I'm playing Malphite and I'm playing against a challenger or grandmaster who's playing like a real top laner, like I don't know, Camille or Jace or whoever, all these real top laners who are not necessarily even bad or good into Malphite or whatever. It's just they have a way higher upside when played better because that's how League has to be balanced. Like champs like Malphite cannot be overpowered, otherwise the game is broken because then bronze players would be in Challenger.
Mhm.
If the game was all macro, then all of the analysts would be Challenger. None of the analysts are Challenger, okay? None of them are. So clearly micro is important.
Mhm.
If micro was the only thing that mattered, then we wouldn't have analysts, right? So there's here and there, right? I think that micro is probably more important in league. It's a bit
Okay.
sad. I don't like that because I'm a coach and I like telling people, "Hey, man, maybe your mechanics aren't good, but if you learn, you'll get better." And it's true, but sometimes there's some players who you see and they research the game all the time. They know everything there is to know about the game, but when the push comes to shove, they flash on the spot by accident and ult backwards. And there's like a certain amount of practice that you can kind of fix that. But for instance, for me, when I came to League, I had played games like Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, StarCraft 1, Age of Empires. These are all RTS games.
Mhm.
League is kind of like the modern RTS. It's a MOBA, right? I came in with just way better mechanics than everyone else was playing. I remember playing in League and I was just destroying everybody. I remember I got placed in Bronze 3, which back in the day used to get placed so low. I got placed in Bronze 3, and this was back when Iron didn't exist. So Bronze 3 is like so low.
Mhm.
And I knew nothing about the game. I didn't know what freezing was. I didn't know anything about the game at all. I just would play Gragas mid, I think I remember full AP, or like top Jarvan, or my patented AP Garen, or something like that, and just steamroll people. Like it wasn't even like it was a joke. Like every game I was running around the map, 15 kills on Garen with no idea what I was doing. I was just running around the map like a lunatic. And this got me to Diamond 2, pretty much. I remember I learned what freezing was in Diamond 2. I remember because I remember I'd heard people had said freezing. I was kind of like, it's got something to do with the wave. I don't really know though. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
looking that up and being like, okay, I'll go actually watch a video on what freezing is. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. I'm just gonna go play Jarvan full AD, build full lethality, and kill everybody. And that just seemed to work, but it stops working at a certain point. And that's why you have a lot of really high skilled players in D1, low master, who are probably mechanically better than me, but the brains are off. They have no idea how the game works. You combine these things together, then you have a challenger player for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't be challenger with one or the other. I just don't think there's any way. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it is interesting. Someone else had said that like um macro is important, but like micro, you kind of have it or you don't to a certain degree. Like you can't really teach that. Whereas,
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
yeah, the game itself though is interesting because like it is based on an RTS game, right? It's based on
Yeah,
Warcraft 3, but it
yeah.
does. I think one of the reasons why it attracts so many people is because it is somewhat of an in-between thing, like where sure there is these strategy kind of basis, but like it's almost like a fighting game at some points, right? Like so
It.
there's
I
is
think it's
that.
got everything.
Yeah, yeah.
It's yeah. It feels like it has everything. It's got all the like. I love Age of Empires 2, but I
Mhm,
don't play it right now. I love Warcraft 3, but I haven't played that in ages. I love StarCraft 2, StarCraft 1. I'm not playing them. They don't have the same draw that League does. League's got a
mhm,
draw that's just incomparable to even games that I played first and arguably loved first. You know what I mean? Like I love StarCraft 1,
mhm,
fantastic game, but I never played StarCraft 1 online because it was too hard. It was just too hard. StarCraft 1 is so hard, but it's not hard in like a fun way. It's hard in a like you need like 17 keybinds for all your different buildings.
mhm.
And that's just a lot of muscle memory you gotta learn. League is hard in a way that's like feels so rewarding. Where StarCraft 1 is like, oh, I misclicked and I lost the game.
Right.
Rather than League where it's like, oh, I misclicked and I died and I respawned next play.
Mhm.
You can make a few mistakes in League and still win. You can make a mistake in StarCraft 1 and just lose. Your game's over.
Right. Okay.
Like
So there's it's more punishing. Okay.
it's incredibly punishing, and you can lose in like 2 minutes as well, and that's the most worst thing about it. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, I think League has got the double element of being easy to play, hard to master, really rewarding to be good at. So you can play with a bunch of bronze friends in a bronze game and have an absolute whale of a time, and you can also be five challengers and have an absolute whale of a time. It seems to be perfect for everyone. Where bronze players in StarCraft aren't having fun.
Mhm.
It's not fun to be bronze in StarCraft. It's just not.
So
Yeah.
we talked about like I think we may have talked about this before. Like I guess it's kind of along the lines of um when you said about certain characters will are only good to a certain point because they're limited, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, like let's just say in StarCraft, right? You could coin flip a game, right? And you could go
Yeah.
right. Rather than go and mine or whatever or these resources, I'm just gonna like buy as many workers as I can and just go send them to attack my enemy's base at the start
Oh,
and coin flip a game.
absolutely.
Like,
Oh, that's it's a great thing with League that, and this is why League I think has such a high competitive integrity as a game.
mhm,
League of Legends, uh, people will say things like, you're elo inflated or you're boosted or you're this, you're that, but I feel like you're the rank you are. If you're a
mhm,
top lane Riven player, let's say, or Fiora or Camille or whatever, and people think your champ's OP, I don't really care if your champ's OP or not, mate. You're winning on a skilled champion. Good job. Awesome. There's no cheesing to be done with Camille. You're just better than your opponent. Obviously, you can counterpick them and it can make your matchup easier.
mhm,
But at the end of the day, if you're like a challenger Camille player, you're clearly good at the game. No one's questioning this.
mhm,
In StarCraft, though, there's a totally different element that does not exist in League. If you don't know StarCraft or RTS games, you will not really understand this. You will have heard it. It's where the term cheese comes from. Originally, what a cheese was in League, cheese is like standing in a bush, but that's like not really a cheese in StarCraft terms.
uh,
StarCraft term cheese is like I play against, let's say, Boxer, who's like one of the fakers of StarCraft, right? Okay, if I play against, Boxer, right? Let's say I will. I have a 0% chance of winning. I could play 200 games and I lose every game.
Mhm.
That's if I'm playing fair. What I could do is I could like select all my workers at the start of the game, right click them across the map, and just try and win or lose in 1 minute through some stupid RNG where my workers like have better pathing than his. Blah blah blah. He'll have an advantage to some extent, but there's kind of really limited gameplay you can do here.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, it's a pretty stupid RNG play that doesn't really work usually, but sometimes works, and it's really
It's
kind of
yeah.
funny. But there's nothing in League like that. You can't just right click across the map in League and win. And this literally wins the game. It's not
Mhm.
like, oh, you won the first fight. No, the game's over. The game's over in a minute.
Mhm.
Uh, and yeah, so RTS games have a weird sort of sense of some high elo players in RTS games. People are like, oh, he's just a cheeser. He's not actually good at the game.
Mhm.
He just worker rushes every game and
Yeah.
gets lucky. In
Uh,
League, if you're high elo, you're great. Yeah, go on.
yeah. It's funny that you like the guy's name's Boxer, but I mean it's basically like anyone has a puncher's chance against him if
Oh,
they
and
if I
he's
had
like
to.
such a fun player to watch as well. Like he's got the sort of
Mhm.
there's some players who are a bit like methodical with their gameplay. He's a bit more of like a he is all of his series seem really fun and really great. Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, we're talking about League, so
Yeah.
probably
Back on the league, like, and
yeah.
I guess it was kind of like when you talked about something like you have these like mechanical champions like Camille or Riven or Zed or
hmm
Yasuo or whatever, right? They like you can play them, and I think the last time we talked about like if you play Malphite and you get to a certain rank, you deserve to be at that rank. If you play whatever Zed and you get to a certain rank, you deserve to be at that rank. And like I was just going to say, like how high do you believe that you could get with some of these like kind of limited champions? Like, is that do you often see like a Malphite one track in Challenger, or is this really reserved until
No, you
Diamond something?
don't. But oh man, I'm so bad for anecdotes. I talk forever, but I've got a little one about this. So
Hmm.
just because you don't see something does not mean that it's not good or viable. This is
Hmm.
such a huge thing. Imagine if I didn't play Zillion Top
Hmm.
on EU West. You would not see Zillion Top then. It would not exist. And people would use that as an example of, well, there's no challenger Zillion Tops, therefore it's not viable. That's
Hmm.
just, it's a bad argument. And here's why here's a nice anecdote from League to remind anybody about hidden OP picks and the fact that it absolutely does exist and probably still exists. Back in season, I think 3, I remember I played. So I played this whole time. This isn't me reading something. I played. I experienced this. LeBlanc was in the game. Her
Hmm.
Q used to silence for I think
Yeah.
1.5 seconds.
Yep.
What the fuck? You could be silenced for 3 seconds in the blink of an eye, and her damage was insane. You know you know what would happen, and this would happen to me. I would be playing Zillion, LeBlanc's over the wall, silence, ignite, E, blah 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 blah. Silenced again, can't ult, can't press any buttons, and I just die 100 to 0 without being
Hmm.
able to press any buttons. I go, wow, that's pretty annoying. And then someone would go to me, yeah, LeBlanc's kind of OP, and I go, no, 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 she just kills one guy. That's not really that
Hmm.
OP. She just kills a guy. Like that's just a cheese pick. It's just an annoying thing to play against. I would say that's annoying. And that's how everyone's opinion was on LeBlanc, I swear, back then. Just annoying, not OP, and she wasn't really played.
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. It's one of those things where just randomly one day, LeBlanc broken, pick ban every game. People have realized all of a sudden this champ is not fair. And it's not like just not fair, it's like incredibly overpowered. She got reworked in like a month when people start playing her.
Hmm.
And I think that you can put a few champs in League into this category where people just for some reason don't want to play them. Gragas had this awakening as well, by the way. Gragas was completely overpowered for ages, and no one
Hmm.
realized. And then he got reworked again. And I think right now there's some things in the game which you might think, Master Yi, huh? Yeah, that's just a Master Yi. He just pentakilled our whole team, but that's just Yi. That's what Yi does. He's just annoying, but realistically, he's not actually viable, is he?
Hmm.
What if Master Yi is actually the most broken champ in the game right now? I don't know. Nobody plays him. No pro players play him because he's not viable and competitive. But viable and competitive is not the same as viable and solo queue. I think
Hmm.
there's a chance that the champs like Yi could actually be the most broken champs in the game. Just people haven't given it that. Let's go all start one
Put
tricking
under the
Yi. I don't know. You
microscope
know what I
sort of thing.
mean? So,
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
So I think when you tell me like, does Malphite have a limit where he can reach? I have no idea.
Hmm.
I need to see the limit first. Like I would love to see people who maybe there's a Malphite main that's right now grinding away and he's in Master and you give him a year and he'll be rank one Malphite one trick every game Malphite and he's unbeatable and he's destroying everyone. I don't know. So yeah, maybe.
It's an interesting debate, like because it kind of like there is these characters that do that one thing really well. Like he's basically just an R button. Everything else is kind of like
Yeah.
all the kind of like say you've got £100 to spend on building a character, like £90 went into making the
And
art,
his
right?
R.
Like so all the resources in that, but so it's and like people can find the right opportunities. I was just asking about that because you would think that uh, past a certain point, a certain skill threshold, people will be like, "Oh, it's Malphite. Just don't group together, and he won't five man knock us up, and then we get aced." So like it's, but
Ah,
the thing is, there's still people can just find opportunities if they know what they're looking for, or if they're
this
an
is the
expert at it.
most common thing I've heard about people who aren't high elo who say about high elo. So they're not in high elo and they're talking about high elo.
Hmm.
It used to happen to me when I play Zillion all the time. They'd be like to me, I'd be in Diamond 1 and I'd be climbing on Zillion. And I get told by some guy after the game, hey man, I don't think you played bad or anything, dude. We lost. Is my teammate
Hmm.
telling me this? He's like, I
Hmm.
don't think you played bad or anything, dude. I don't think this game's your fault. He's like, but have you maybe considered the fact that you picking Zillions kind of ruined our comp and you're kind of trolling? And I'm like to him, I think I played quite well this game, and I don't think this one was my fault. Sorry. I understand your perspective, but I disagree. And he's like, okay, but you need to understand, dude, that like once you get to like master, this isn't gonna work anymore, right? And I go, okay, we'll see, I guess. Then I get to master and it's still working. But people in master are like, you realize, man, like when you get to grandmaster and you actually start playing against good top laners, this isn't gonna work anymore, right? And I'm like, okay, I get to grandmaster, and the grandmaster goes, okay, you can play versus solo queue losers like me, right? You can win versus me, but how are you gonna play against Broken Blade on Renekton? You will lose every game. And I get into Challenger and I'm playing versus Broken Blade on Renekton, and I'm like, this is kind of playable, actually. This isn't the worst lane I've ever played. Like, there are some times where if it's like Broken Blade on Jace, yeah, Zillion's not viable. Okay, he's not. I promise you, Zillion's not viable into Broken Blade's Jace. Don't play it, don't pick it, dodge the game immediately.
Hmm.
But into the majority of challengers on EU West, you can actually kind of play anything because, oh, right, anything viable in quotation marks. I think a Kali jungle, for example, is too bad. Her passive
Hmm.
doesn't proc, she doesn't damage, she has mana problems or problems. That is not a viable pick. But Zillion top, even while being pretty troll and stupid, is I think is. I mean, I hit rank 20 with it. It must be viable enough. So I think
For sure.
y- you got to really take a pinch of salt when anyone talks about Halo when they're not in it because they
Hmm.
have no idea what they're talking about. They don't know what it really means to be like a challenger top laner. They think that that means that you're like freezing all the time or something. I don't know what they think it means, but challengers run it down all the time. Like it's fine. Like you can be a bit of a goon and still be challenger.
Hmm. I mean, like we talked about, different people come from different backgrounds to play this game, like
Mhm.
RTS people, fighting game people, whatever, right? Shooting game people, whatever, right? There is, it's not so linear in how you win or like what you play, but it's just interesting to talk about these things because everyone's got a different idea about what's correct or whatever. And I mean,
Mhm.
speaking to you, someone who's been at the top of the ladder, who's probably seen these, like I think Professor calls them exotic picks, like that
Yeah, I
are
get
this,
exotic pick all the time. Yeah, I'm the exotic pick. Yeah, yeah.
like it's just interesting to hear about like what your ideas about some of these, like can they work, can they not work, or like what, how far can some of these things go before they run out? Are they people are aware of the cheese pick or aware of the how to
I
play
think
around it?
people I think people think that so okay before somebody I've had this because I posted it. I remember when I hit top 100 challenger. I made a Reddit post because I
Hmm.
was overwhelmed. Not like don't get me wrong, I wasn't like oh my god, I finally hit Challenger. Because that's never how I viewed it. I always viewed it as like I tripped and fell over into Challenger. That's how I viewed it genuinely. I was like,
Mhm.
I remember when I first hit Challenger, I was like looking around at everyone else. I'm like, is this Challenger? I'm sure I'm in the right place. Is this Challenger like me in Challenger? I was like, I'm terrible at this game. How bad is everyone else? Because it shatters your perception. Because when you're like Diamond and you think of Challenger, it feels like that's like that's like Argentina from Scotland. It's like, mate,
Mhm.
I can't even picture that. I can't be. That's so far away. No way, no chance, right? But when you actually get to Challenger, you realize, okay, I get it. Obviously, it's still very, very high, and people are very good. But and I demoted out immediately because I wasn't good enough to stay there. But
Mhm.
then I got back again later. My point is, you you can make it uh really far by playing something a bit silly. And I made the Reddit post about this, basically being like, "Hey, it's me. I'm rank 100 with Zillion top. I'm a bit of an idiot. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just having fun. And I want to tell you, if you're someone who's playing like mid Ivern and all your friends are blaming you for their mistakes, basically, keep playing with Ivern, man. If you think it's good and you enjoy it, play it because playing what's fun is gonna make you better at the game anyway. If you put me on Olaf jungle or something, I would have no fun and I would stop playing League.
Mhm.
I wouldn't get better at the game. It's just really hard to get better at the game when you're bored. So I think the problem is though, and I heard Nemesis talking about this. Nemesis is a old school mid laner. People know who this is, right?
Mhm.
Um, and he was saying champs like Zillion and Malzahar are really good, but nobody wants to play them because it's boring. You
Mhm.
need to have someone with the mindset to play Zillion or Malzahar who finds it fun to like enjoy the depressing suffering of others. Like watching a Zed ult in and you just Malzahar laser them. Man, like it's just a get fucked moment, get outplayed. Like just get outplayed, noob. Like you just got clicked on, you're trying all your fancy combos, and I just clicked on you. And that's how Zillion feels. I'm getting like Riven's doing all these crazy combos on me, and I just press R on the AD carry, and then the AD carry revives and just kills her, and it's really that easy. And there's a part of me that thinks that's really funny because it's like, and I'll be playing against these people who are paid like millions to play League, and they'll be laning against me on Zillion, and it's
Mhm.
like I'm somehow killing them because it's really stupid things, or they're trying to dive me and it didn't quite work because I have ult, blah blah blah. And I think that for me, my enjoyment of that kind of gameplay is why I'm so good at Zillion.
Mhm.
The problem is people don't find Malphite very fun, for example. Generally, people will play him because, oh, I'm on tank duty again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you found someone who was really good at League, who simultaneously had this really big enjoyment for pressing R on Malphite, that's all they found fun. Like me on Zillion, that's kind of the only thing I find fun in ranked is Zillion. If you find someone who loved Zillion as much as I love Malphite, or love Malphite as much as I love Zillion, then yeah, there's no reason why they couldn't be challenger
Mhm.
mid full AP Malphite player because they've min maxed it to the point where they know the matchups better than you do. Like I walk into a matchup with Zillion, and I've played this matchup 100 times more than they have because they've never played it before.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
and I played it and the same. And I would love to get to that point in another champ, but it never seems a champ just doesn't click for me. And I think this is where you get your one tricks who are really good at stuff. And it's why you have your like. There's like a Rumble mid one trick, you know. And I know Rumble mid's like not super troll, but you need to have some kind of brain to play these weird champs, and most people don't. They just want to play Zed and Yasuo and Jinx and Lucian and Lulu and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Uh, it takes a certain player to whap out something weird, yeah.
Ah, no, there is definitely some truth to that. Like Rumble mid, it's not exactly like the thing that people go, "Oh, it's a terrible idea," but you're right.
Mhm.
It's not the classic archetype. It's not Syndra, Oriana, Victor,
No,
or
yeah.
something like that. It's a bit kind of like an offshoot from that, and you need to kind of know like like you need to have some understanding of the champion and how it interacts with other ones for it to work. But yeah, no, it's interesting like how these things come around. Um, I was going to ask. This is another question. I think we talked about it the last time. I thought it was a good one because
Mhm,
you said that you started out in bronze, and like we kind of
yes.
talked about it a bit, like you know what was your experience like playing in bronze, silver, so on and so forth? Like, what do you think about each of the kind of what would you call those, like
Okay,
elo
yeah.
brackets or whatever? Like,
My experience of playing in so I've never played in iron. I have never, not even on a Smurf. I don't know how you get there.
mm,
I think you maybe need to be like 5 years old, and that's
right,
not flame to someone who's grinding away in iron right now. But you probably do have 5-year-old teammates, right? You probably do. And you probably know that. I never played there. I played in bronze though. I have.
either
Because I got placed in
5 year old
bronze three.
or like 50 or 60 years
50,
old. That's
55-year-olds. Yeah, for sure. Um, but no, I played in bronze three. I got placed in bronze three, and this is like I think a really big thing where like elo hell. I never was in an elo hell. Like maybe I've been in elo hell when I've been in like challenger and I've been really mad at my teammates. But um, elo hell for me never existed, and it's not even like one of those things where it sounds kind of cliche from like people who end up in challenger. They're like, well, yeah, man, just play better than your team. It was like I didn't even think about it. I just queued up and I just won. I won like I'm not even talking like 60% of my games. I win like 70 to 80% of my games, and I wasn't really even like I didn't play very much. I played like 40 games a season, but that got me like to gold four in the first season. I got placed in
Mhm,
bronze three, and I think I ended in gold one. I think I ended in gold one from getting placed in bronze three, and bronze three double promo to bronze one immediately. It was like silver was a joke, like it was a complete joke. Like I'm just you play carry champ, like I played like Garen pretty much mostly, and I just kill my laner level two every single game.
mhm,
And you kill your laner level two, and then you like stand in the bush in between the towers, and they walk back, and you kill him again. And then he's level one, and you're level four, and the game's over because you run around the map and kill everyone.
mhm.
I figured that out really early, and it just seemed to work for me. And everyone else was just way behind. I think even back, especially back then, everyone was so bad. So yeah, no, like from a climbing perspective, the only time I actually ran into difficulty climbing was in D2. That's the only
Mhm.
time I had difficulties. Up till that point, it was so easy, like it was a complete breeze. Terms of like, so you asked me like my opinion on the elo. I love
Yeah,
this question because I think it's really funny. I think there will be people from probably every elo watching this.
yeah,
Um, and you'll have your opinions on your elo. And here's my opinion on you. Right? Okay. So in your bronze iron players, I think what we're gonna go for here is like flaming. I think it's really funny to like look at the different toxicities in elos. Right?
yeah.
In iron, bronze. So I once again I don't know iron. So in bronze, your flame. I think flame stays pretty consistent in most elos. The amount of flame, a little bit of ups and downs here there, but
Mhm,
bronze, your flamers are it's like kid flame or like zero understanding of the game flame. Like your top laner dies, so you type top noob, and that's your flame. And it's like, what are you even typing? Or like you lose the game and you just type bot lane always 09 GG and you leave the lobby. That's the kind of flame that you see in bronze. It's just like brainless commenting on exactly what happened as if that's an insult. There's no people like, oh, you macroed badly or you picked badly here. It's just stupid. Like it's kid flame, which usually is kind of innocent to me because I usually think it is a kid. Like if a bronze player flames me and just calls me a noob, I think okay, you're just 13, like whatever. Um, silver, it gets a little bit because there's human beings in silver. There's not really human beings in bronze. There's people in silver will probably comment on your pick. You didn't pick a tank here, but it'll be really stupid. Like it won't make any sense. They'll be talking about stuff like you needed to pick a tank here because we need frontline, and it's like that's not the problem. All the problem in the game was your 20 kill Lucian died 4 times and gave a million shutdowns
mhm,
to a
mhm.
Vigar, and now the Vigar is killing everybody. That kind of thing. But they have no concept of like sort of kind of depth in the game. It's very like the last bad play was the only bad play.
Yeah,
This
the
is the kind of
last.
thing you see
Yeah.
a lot. So it'll be
Mhm.
you flashed into a wall at 40 minutes, the entire game's your fault. And it's like, I think you don't see that in Challenger. People in Challenger are very much like, they'll even say this, like, I'll flash into a wall or miss an ult in a 35-minute game, and I will lose the game. And I'll be like, oh, my bad, guys, that sucks. And multiple people will be like, nah, mate, this game's not on you. Like, yeah, you fucked up, but like, the bot laner 0-10 the whole game, man. Like, it's not on you. And that takes quite a bit of like understanding of things. I think people are pretty rash in lower yellows. They just chuck out the insults and don't think about it.
Mm.
Gold. I like gold. Gold's chill. When I played in gold, it was super wholesome. People are generally pretty nice in gold because I think they don't got big egos, but they are trying to get to plat, but they've not got to plat yet. That's just the biggest thing ever. Is when you're in gold, you haven't been plat. The second you hit plat, I hate plat. Plat 3, the third one, is the worst elo in this entire game. If anyone tells you it's D1, they're wrong. If anyone tells you it's low master, you're wrong. There'll be a lot of D1s watching this going, no, D1's the worst. I get what you're trying to say, but plat is worse. I promise you. I played a plat game kind of recently. I wouldn't say kind of recently, maybe like a year ago. That's not recently, but I was on a Smurf and I'm like 20 kills in Riven. The game is won, but all my team are running it down, and I just type like, "Hey guys, all you need to do is just group mid and push, and I'll split top and win the game on my own. That's all you need to do." And oh no, I said all you need to do is stand in the base and stop them backdooring, and I'll literally end the game on my own. That's what I said. And they go, "Oh, you want us to stand in the base?" So they stand in the fountain and just slash dance. Two of them, two of my teammates, not even pre-made, just two individual teammates doing that. And it's like, only in plat, man. What is wrong with people? And these people are like 2,600 games, negative win rate in plat. Jesus Christ. It's awful. And it stays a little bit like that, I think, until High Master. From Plat 3 to probably like 300 LP, this bracket is miserable. I'm so
Wow.
sorry for anyone who plays in there. It's bad. Um, then when the game starts getting fun for me on a, like a flaming level, also the flame in Plat is kind of like people will say very poignant phrases like they know what they're talking about. You griefed my wave level 3, and now I'm frozen out forever, and I can't play because the jungler could be here, and now I can't roam mid, and he's got a 2-level advantage. And they'll just say a bunch of stuff, and then when you actually think about what they're saying, you go, no, it's because you're bad, actually. You just know how to say stuff in plat, because plat players are good at the game. They just know how to, but they know how to spraff a bunch of shite. They do. They can absolutely just go off on one on though the jungle pathed badly and the mid laner didn't roam when he should have, and there was this perfect time to do scuttle crab and no one came, and it's like, just shut up and play better. Like, Jesus Christ. That's what plat players need to do. And I think this is what challengers do. Challengers know there was this perfect time that I could have done his gank timing on scuttle. The mid laner didn't roam, but what they go is they don't go, hey mid laner, why didn't you roam, you know, bad words, right? They go to themselves, my mid laner didn't roam for crab, gotta sack that one, do the bottom one. Let's
Mhm.
hope they roam for that. Because there's no point flaming over this because it's already done. They go with the bottom crab. Of course, challenges flame sometimes, but most of the good players have this kind of opinion of they expect the best, and when they're not given the best, they just reiterate their plan.
Mhm.
Uh, unless, of course, like you do a gank that makes perfect sense, and your teammate like just totally griefs it, and they usually just go like question mark at worst. Usually, a lot of time though, you do a gank and you both die to a Darius, and that's like the most tilting thing that can happen in League, I think. Usually, nobody says anything. It's usually just like you wait till the game starts going well, and then the top laner goes, "Yeah, my bad in that gank, by the way." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem, dude. It's fine. It happens." That's the most wholesome shit ever. Only in Challenger, and maybe Gold.
Yeah.
Nowhere else.
What about actually? Yeah, like talking about gold, man. I love gold. Like, see, every time I play them,
Yeah, I like Gold as well. It's funny.
it's I don't know. Like, I always feel like everyone is really trying their best to win the game, and they seem so cooperative and stuff like that. The majority of
Yep.
my time I spend in platinum, and oh my god, I just it seems so like gold. It seems like people are aware of other people. Like they might not have the best skill, but they're aware of other people, but they don't have expectations. When you get into platinum, it seems very like um
They
they
watch
aren't
too much League, I think.
they aren't looking at like other people's interaction. It's purely their own game, and then I guess
No, for
challenger
sure.
seems like they can perceive everyone's game or well. So I think.
Well, put it this way: if you're 2,600 games in Plat, which Plat is the most egregious elo for this, as well as Diamond One, is Diamond One and Plat. They're the people who have these crazy amount of games played, right?
Mm,
Um, imagine you're a 2,600 game Plat player who genuinely thinks they're Plat because of their team. Of course, they think that they need to carry every game. So they'll
mm,
go into game. They'll be playing Udyr, let's say, and their top laner dies once, and they think Yeah, lost game again. Top laner's dead. GG, can't be bothered. CBA, and they type all this, tilts the whole team. Then they go like do a stupid tilt play where they're trying to like force something really hard because they think they need to carry, so they force something. But then it comes to the point where like they've forced something, they've ruined their jungle. There's 0-2 now because they forced twice and they're really tilted, and they're just typing in the chat they can't bother. And your top laner went from 0-1 to 2-1 solo. Yeah, he made a mistake early, but then he came back because he's actually a player who made a mistake early, which is what a lot of people do. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this is something that you get in a lot of lower elos. No, actually not lower elos, like your mid high elos, where they're in this mode where they like need to carry and they have no concept that a teammate can make a misplay, but that doesn't make them bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in Challenger, this is what you get all the time. The amount of times where I've had players who they go 0-2 in lane and they type, "I've entered this one. I'm sorry, guys. I'll try my best. I'll try my best." And I'm like, and I type to them like, "Hey, I've played with you before.
Mm-hmm.
You're good. You're fine. Like, just pick it up. It's okay. Like, no worries."
I guess we kind of talked a little bit about what makes a challenger player. That was the next question. You kind of talked
Hmm.
about that being having some like both pieces, the macro and the micro, both like 10 out of 10 or whatever, or like like really proficient in both.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There was maybe I think we talked about this before, or I've heard about it from someone else that you've got a opinion on this. It was I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. It was like that
Hmm. Yeah.
challenger players have the vision of the end game, like what should be done in the end game and closing out
Oh,
games.
right. Okay. So, no, I think you're right. I think this is probably something that I've talked about. So, I get asked this. This is one of my most commonly asked questions on my stream. You would think it would be something to do with Zillion or whatever. It's usually not.
Hmm.
My most commonly asked question is, what is the difference between a Grandmaster and a Challenger?
Right.
Like, it'll be like, what makes you different from a Grandmaster player? And I think that's kind of actually a tough question because there are sometimes Grandmasters in Challenger games. That's
Hmm.
pretty common. And you kind of think to yourself, like, why is there a guy who's 2,000 games, 800 LP, and there's a guy who's 200 games, 1.1k LP? Why is one guy doing so much better than the other, even though they're both so close in elo? And I think it comes from genuinely like the way they play endgame. Grandmaster players and challengers laning, it will be pretty similar. Challengers and grandmasters on roaming, I think they're almost on par. Grandmasters are really good at using the map. They understand the game really well. They know like the power spikes are in the map. They know what to do, where and when. They know how to split, and they know everything. But I think it falls off a bit at about like 30 plus minutes, maybe 25. Knowing when to engage mid game, oh, this is when it tilts me in low elo when I'm playing in. So when I was playing at my peak, which I'm not really playing right now, but when I was playing at my like when I'm like 1.2 KLP and I get into like a grandmaster lobby, it's so tilting when I'm like, guys, can we please group mid? And then one of the guys types like, top tower's not dead yet, can't group, and I'm like, no. I'm like, no, you can come group now. We can group and we can push this advantage because we're a team and we can play like cohesively. And I think this is the biggest difference between a challenger and a grandmaster is like knowing when to group and why and for how long, and in the late game as well. Like late game team fights are really complicated and difficult and require like full understanding of everything to do with league. You've got to have awesome mechanics, good reaction timings, like understanding of vision, denying and like placing vision, playing around objectives. You need everything in a late game team fight. And when you hit a challenger late game team fight and you're a grandmaster, you will notice that you're the guy that gets thresh hooked. You're the guy that walked into the wrong bush. You're the guy that just missed his ult at the crucial moment, and you lose the game. And this is the difference between a grandmaster and challenger: is the challenger doesn't miss the ult, he doesn't get the thresh hook, he doesn't. He's the guy who's hitting the thresh hook. He's blindly thrown it over the blue buff, hooked the blue, gone to the blue, and flash flayed you, lanterned his Jackson, and he one shots you. And you can sit to yourself and go, "Fuck! Like that thresh just traveled like half of the map to get me." But I know I've had so many moments where I think to myself, like, if I don't move from this position in the next 0.1 seconds, I'm getting a flash Malzolt out of vision
Hmm.
and the game's over. And you kind of just need to know that. It's one of those things that like just you gotta have experienced the flash Malzolt, and challenger players just seem really experienced with the
Yeah.
game and that kind of thing. It's
So
kind of tough to
there's
exactly say, but that's my take, I think.
So do you think it seems kind of like an experience or an intuition or something
It's an intuition.
that's
Yeah.
giving them the extra? That's interesting, yeah.
And when you watch challenger players on a stream, you're not gonna they're probably not gonna talk about this, or you might see this occasionally where they make a movement away from something or towards something, and it gets them a kill or denies them from dying or protects a teammate, and you sit there and think, how did he know that? Like what? Like what? How did he know that? And it's just this is just a ridiculous amount of experience. Like I had an amazing one actually, a personal glory moment in League where whole enemy team in the top side is like out of vision for a Baron fight, and I'm just sitting there thinking, if I was the enemy team, what would I be doing? Because I'm thinking they can't win a straight up 5v5. They can't. They need to cheese me because I'm Zillion. It's late game. If I'm alive, the AD carry can't die, and then we win. So I'm thinking they need to cheese. They could backdoor. I'm thinking all these different things, and like we're about to do Baron, and I'm thinking, what are they gonna do? And I just blindly double bomb like in the tri bush above Baron or
Baron,
whatever. I
right.
walk in, blind double bomb it, and their entire team is in there. And it just like I don't know what it is. You just have this like premonition moment where you just sit there and think, yeah, their whole team's in that bush, aren't they? I don't know why I know that. I don't know, but I think it's one of those moments where I have that a lot, especially in hyper late game. I think the best I'm playing is if you put me in a 35-minute challenger game as Zillion. I'm playing out of my mind. I'm awful in the early game. I'm the inting griefer that goes 0-5, but if I get past that, I'm awesome, and
Mhm.
that's I think it takes an extremely good player to play in that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting dynamic of some games. Like there is obviously the ones that are just it's maybe linear. There's like oh, we got four dragons and we got the soul and we went through that. Oh, their jungler died, we take the Baron, and then there's the games where it's like, well, if we miss position here, if we face check them or something like that, and we just get 5 man ace, then the game's over because the death timers are so long. There's so many different ways that a game can end up just based on
So
like the
I'm
situation
gonna
or
I have this moment where when I'm watching something like this, and I sort of start, I do like a bit of internal screaming at the
whatever.
screen because I'm annoyed at people who are not talking about something that I've experienced. I think there'll be a lot of Diamond Master players that would hear what we're talking about and go, "But I know all of these late game things you're talking about." Yeah, I've done a blind double bomb or equivalent into a bush and hit the enemy team. I've hit a crazy thresh hook at 40 minutes and won the game. Of course. The problem is, what I'm talking about here is a challenger player is good at every single one of these and they do them really consistently.
Hmm.
Whereas anyone, a bronze player, can land a thresh hook at 40 minutes. Of course they can, but it's just, there's something about challenger players that when they get to a certain point in the game, you just feel like the game's fucking lost. I don't know,
Hmm.
man. Like where they have a certain group of players on their team, and I know that if this gets to 35 minutes, we just can't win. There's no way. And there's some
Hmm.
players on my team who I think you can't play late game. I don't want to get to late game with you because we'll just lose. Even if they're like 10-0, they'll be 10-0 on Talon, but they have no idea how to play Talon in a 35-minute game.
Hmm.
So, really common thing you'll see from master players randomly pick stuff, random pick Kazakhs, and I think to myself, that's kind of grief. Then they get 10 kills. And I'm like, okay, but you're going to int because you don't know how to play Kazakhs later on in the game when it's actually kind of difficult.
Hmm.
Gets to 32 minutes, they die, give a 1k shutdown to a Jinx, and the game's over. And they
Yeah.
end the game 10-1 and go, my noob team. And they tell all their friends, look, I went 10-1. I'm Kazakhs, I'm 1v9, I'm my noob team, see? And all their friends will be like, oh yeah, Master's horrible, man. Like, it's impossible to climb in there. Look at your scores, you're awesome every game. And it's like, mate, you're the griefer, sorry.
Yeah, there is a few like it's just like, but look at my damage chart though. Like,
Yeah,
look at my damage.
look at my CS, man. I'm 100 CS up. And it's like the other guy's been roaming the whole game and you've
Yeah.
lost. Yeah.
Uh, this is maybe kind of like a spin-off on this. It's
Hmm.
um, you talked about like grandmasters and challengers. How often do you see like people like you probably have familiar names like Magic Felix. I know you talk a bit about him the last time. Like there's always these names that you see, how often do you see new names coming in, and how often do people kind of drop in and out between Grandmaster and Challenger? Is it very competitive, or is it always the
Oh, this is
same
a really
faces?
interesting point. This is a cool one, actually. This ties in with the thing we were just talking about with the. It's a weird, sort of indescribable difference between Challenger and Grandmaster. I'm trying to
Mm,
describe it, but even
mm-hmm,
then, you can poke holes in it and be like, this doesn't really fully. But it's tough, and I think until you hit Challenger, what's going to happen, guys? I promise you, this happens with every rank. This is not just a Challenger thing, so this you can relate to this.
mm-hmm,
Let's say I'm Diamond 4, and I win a lot in a row, and I hit Diamond 1. Whoa, whoa, Diamond 4 to Diamond 1, that's crazy. This is a whole different big gap, right? And you might start thinking, I'm playing well, I'm in Diamond 1, but there's stuff that's happening that just, I'm not keeping up with the enemy laners anymore. They're roaming too much. Or I'm just losing 1v1 more than I used to, or just whatever it is. It's tough to say, and you will drop. When you first hit a peak, you will immediately drop in league. There's something you gotta understand. Please do not be demoralized for this. So many of my friends, it's so heartbreaking. They hit master, and I'm like, good job, man. Grandmaster's next. Then they demote to D2 or D3, and then just never play again.
mm,
They just think, oh, I'm done now. Like, or they like kind of half-ass play, or they don't really play because they think, nah, I was never meant for master. I hit there once, and I can never get it back. I think this happens in challenger a lot, where somebody hits challenger. Happened with me. I hit challenger. I was there for 11 days, I think, which is the maximum you or the minimum you could, because I immediately that was the minimum decay games. I hit challenger and I just sat there on decay games. 11 days comes around and I have to play and I lose. And I lost like I'm talking I lost like 15 games in a row. And it was just one of those things where I don't know, I just felt like I'm challenger and I'm good at the game, but stuff is happening in these games that I'm just not capable or I'm not ready for. And I think a lot of it is if you're the new name, you're the new face,
mm,
you don't know the weird stuff. For example, um, imagine you just hit Challenger. Nice, man. Awesome. Good job, right? You're queuing top lane. You're playing Riven. You're a good Riven player. Nice. Yeah, okay, awesome. You're a Challenger Riven. You queue in top, and you're against me on Zillion. And you can think to yourself, Zillion top, the fuck is that? Because that is not something you will ever play against. Anyone who is actually a consistent challenger player in top lane has played against me like 50 times. I'm talking like I've played all these matchups versus all these people like a million times. They know me. They often come into the game and they type like they'll type at me, I'll type back, blah, blah, blah. If you're like a new person, you just don't know the cheese, you don't know like the stuff to play around, you don't know what the weaknesses and strengths are. And it's not
mm,
just me, there's a lot of other people like this who you need to know how to play against them.
mm,
Potent was a good one for me. I used to play against him all the time, especially this season. Top lane Fiora one trick, really, really good player. Massive cheeser, takes ignite, PTA. He knows his fucking maths, right?
mm,
The amount of times I remember first going against him, I'd just go into lane and he'd just like murder you to level 2. Level 2, dead, PTA ignite, and you'd flash away and be like, wait, I'm dead to this ignite, fuck. And the game's over because you died to a Fiora. Then the next time I go into lane against him, I change my rune setup because I know what I'm playing against. He's playing way more aggressive, I take more defensive stuff, and I win. Then he changes his rune setup. This is a legitimate thing that happened, by the way. This is not me like a hypothetical. He changes his rune setup and comes in being like, I've changed my runes, mate. Good luck. And I'm like, okay. And he demolishes me and I change my rune setup. And we got to the point where, and this is back and forth, where we've kind of come to a stalemate of understanding of how the matchup works now, where we're both fairly competent at the matchup. If you're new to Challenger, you'll face all these people who have just done the research that you couldn't have done, and you'll just get destroyed. So yeah, new challengers, you can tell when someone's a new challenger when you play against them. You can tell that they don't know what they're up against. And like I think a big telling one for me is when I walk into someone and into lane and they have armor because they didn't realize it was Zillion top. Anyone who plays in high US knows if a Zillion's picked, it's either Biotic playing it in support, Magi Felix playing it in mid, or me playing it in top. And you should be able to figure out based on the enemy's composition
yep,
who's where.
yep, deductive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
So the names, I love the names. I love playing against the same people. Some people I love from High West, and the ones I don't love are blocked. So then, yeah, makes my game pretty nice. Yeah.
It's like this is actually a new feature that's in League recently. They've added these kind of like these rune sets that are kind of they're
Mhm.
better than they were before. Like like I remember you just go in and it'd be like there's Electrocute, there's
Oh, they're awful. They're
they
so
they
bad.
they,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
weren't very tailored. They were just kind of like, oh, you've picked Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser's like an AP mage or whatever.
I
Just
guess he has Comet then.
just have
Yeah.
Electrocute or Comet or
Or
something, right?
Electrocute is awful. Yeah, no, it's not
Right.
great.
So like talking about builds and runes and things like that. Like
Mhm,
you obviously mentioned that you were playing against Potent a few games in a row, and
mhm.
you would exchange runes. You go, oh, actually, I really need this rune against Fiora because this
Yeah,
reason,
yeah, yeah.
right? When do you ever notice that, like, in terms of like runes and builds and stuff like that, is there ever a point where you're like, everyone in this game is playing the right stuff. I'm at this level, and everyone is playing these things, the right things for the right time
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
consistently. Because
Uh.
maybe I should like add this to
Mhm.
to the end of this is
Yeah.
Professor, Blitz, all of these things exist, and it seems like a lot of people tend to just kind of go, I can't be bothered remembering what rune to go in this character. I'll
Sure.
just get Blitz or Professor to do it, and now it's in the weak
Mhm.
line. Like, when do you think it becomes important, maybe, or when, right, let's say, when do you notice that players are consistently taking the right runes? And then when do you think it becomes important for people to go, well, for example, I play a bit of Jax, right? The main two runes are Conqueror or not Press the Attack. It's Lethal Tempo, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes Phase Rush Jax just works
Yeah.
into certain characters
Yeah.
because,
No. Oh, for sure. Phaser
yeah,
Strikes is good. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. Is there like,
Yeah.
do you know? It's maybe there's a lot to unpack there, but you
No,
can
you're
you kind of get the
you're
gist of
basically.
what I'm saying.
Are
There's
you
like,
asking like at what point is there a correct rune setup, and at what point is like innovating the correct way? Is that what you're asking, or are you more
um,
asking like
I guess it's maybe like about
a-
like skill
at
level,
what?
like elo brackets.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
do you notice like maybe diamonds
Oh.
will
Okay. So
refine
let
and be more like
let me
either
use an
innovate or whatever.
example from personal experience.
Mhm.
This is really linked in with the last thing we're talking about.
Mhm.
Once again, I'm playing Zillion. I say this on stream all the time. It's really funny, and it gets me every single time. If I so Camille Zillion is probably the most played matchup for me I've ever played. Is
Mhm.
Zillion versus Camille top.
Yep.
You might think that that's totally unplayable for Zillion. It's actually not, and it becomes actually Zillion favored depending on the rune setup Camille takes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
If Camille doesn't have resolve, you are so happy. If she takes
Yeah.
like yellow red or yellow inspiration or whatever, you're so happy. If she doesn't have a Doran shield, you are going to destroy her. It will be the
Mhm.
easiest lane of your life. Anyone who has played this matchup even once knows they need a Doran shield. And this is where in Challenger, no one is not taking a Doran shield against me. No one.
Mhm.
But if I get like a random Grandmaster game, there's a 500 LP guy I'm against, he'll go Doran's Blade, because that's what you kind of always go in Camille, and he'll just die twice to me in lane. And you die to
Mhm.
Zillion in lane, your game's over. Like the Zillion's not meant to be fed, right? So
Yeah.
the point I'm trying to make is, if I'm at a challenger game versus a pro player who like good at the game, or just someone who's really high elo,
Mhm.
they will never not go Doran Shield ever,
Mhm.
because they've been there, they've done that, they know. And it's not even just a with me thing. They just know that versus some matchups, like you need it. And this could be Yone as well. For example, Yone, you want to try and stray away from like Doran's Blade, even though it feels good. And you take a Doran Shield into these kind of ranged matchups because you need it. You
Mhm.
can't play the
Mhm.
game. It's like the
Okay.
easiest rule of top lane ever. Is just take a Doran Shield into ranged champs. You have to.
Mhm.
And I think even as something as high as Grandmaster, you will see people defaulting a little bit to what they know rather than what is good. And I'm guilty of this as well. I think sometimes of just maybe Doran's Ring would have been better here, but I'm taking Corrupting Pot anyway, and I wasn't really sure why. And if you really pressed me on why I didn't go Doran's Ring in this game, I would go, I I probably should have. That's what I'll say. I probably should have gone Doran's Ring because this lane's kind of chill and I don't need a Corrupting Pot. It's unnecessary, and it's I'm just having more AP and health would have been better. Um, So I think even in mega high elo, something I see is people will say at 30 minutes in, my kindred will type, I built wrong for this game and I do no damage. My bad.
Mm.
it's not necessarily that people always will build correctly. It's that people know that they've built correctly, and they will tell you. They'll be like,
Right.
"Man," they'll be like, "I needed to build a Maw second this game. My bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I'm dying to Karthus on repeat, and I needed a Maw second, or whatever it will be." And this is the thing, like I don't know what the right build is on everyone. So like if my Lucian's building something, if he goes like Rune Ends into Essence Reaver, I'm like, mate, that guy's getting paid a lot of money to play this game. He must be doing something right.
Mhm.
So I kind of just take everyone at their word that they're building correctly. People seem to have very strong opinions on builds with limited results. This is something that gets me. Some people who are very dead set on it, like this item is better on this character, blah blah blah, and then it's like, but it doesn't really matter. I think.
Mhm.
So ranks and when you see that, yeah, I would say even in the highest rank you don't see that. I think people will build wrong forever, but in challenger there's some fundamentals you will never see people mess up. People aren't gonna like not buy the obvious stuff, but people may like accidentally buy like they'll buy a GA instead of a mall when a mall would have been better.
Mhm.
4 items, for example. That is the kind of thing you might see, but even then, it's pretty rare, I'd say.
Yeah. It's like that is one of the things it's like again it's kind of off the back of the the professor like or like oh just like
Mhm.
professor says I have to use these runes, I have to use these runes. Professor says that I have to build this item first, but like it's just so I guess it's too
It's
linear
contextualist.
sometimes.
Like there's
Yeah, yeah,
no context to that information.
yeah.
Um, and also there's some like there's no experience behind it. Sometimes you need a lot of experience playing with a build to know that it is good,
Hmm.
or
Like
to know why it's good. You know.
yeah, I guess it's like you said about maybe there's a certain character, right?
Hmm.
Every game you play against this character, you will get one shot if you do not build a all, right? And there's some people who just go, oh, uh, Ravenous Hydra is really OP this game. I'll just build it every single game because that's what Professor said, rather than going, well, maybe I should look at what's going on in the game, who I'm
Yeah,
against, and go,
I
I
think some
lose.
people are
Yeah.
guilty of even worse than that, where they
Mm,
go, "Poor Professor says build Ravenous Hydra," so they build Ravenous Hydra, and they will build Ravenous Hydra first for 2 years.
mm,
Like they'll have read one thing somewhere that's built the site first, and they will build that first forever. And you will not be able to really convince them otherwise. They'll just keep building the same thing. There's a lot of players like this that I've met, and it will take you linking them something else, and then they'll swap to this new thing and do it forever.
mm,
I think to really be good at League, you need to kind of understand why you're building what you're building. It's pretty important because
mm,
champions are the items they're carrying, not so much. Like champions get massively better and worse just by the items that exist in the game, right?
for sure.
If there
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like there's a lot of items that could exist that would make some champs totally broken that don't exist anymore. You know what I mean? So,
Mm. Okay, yeah, I think there was quite a lot of questions there that came just
hmm
off the top that I don't know. I just it's interesting to hear a challenger player's perspective on them, or you know, things like that.
hmm
Maybe a bit dry for some people, but I thought it would be it's interesting for the people who are interested in these things. I think
yeah,
they'll
yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so are there any players that inspire you? This could be streamers, it could be pro players, it could be anyone you like.
Inspire is a good word choice because that doesn't necessarily mean in like gaming or whatever. There's a lot of players who I like because they're really
Mm,
friendly, and I'm like, damn, that guy's really nice. I
mhm,
want to be that nice. But I think generally speaking, for me, the players that probably have the most impact on my gameplay would be Scara, who is now like a D4 hardstuck, but back in the day he was good at the game.
mhm,
Mid laner, I used to watch him all the time, and I'd be like, he'd talk about lots of things, and I'd basically just copy it. Copy, then innovate. Don't innovate first when you don't know what you're doing. That's awful. So copy something and then build off it. And I copied Scara basically. I played all the stuff he played. I would watch him play Victor, and I'd play Victor exactly like him, and then I'd start doing my own thing.
Hmm.
and Wings of Death as well, because he was a bit of a. And this is, by the way, this is like season 3 people. They don't really play League anymore, or I don't know if Wings of Death plays League anymore. He might. I don't know. I've not looked at him
I
in a
know, I
million
know.
years.
Is he the Riven player? I think. Was he a top lane player? Wings of Death?
He may have. I think he has played Riven, but he's like he plays everything. His whole thing back in the day was he used to kind of play sort of off meta stuff. He could have just played anything. He played at
Mm-hmm.
whatever top. He didn't really care. Like he was pretty open to whatever. I remember him playing top Nocturne, and he would go top Nocturne, and he'd go 13 mana pots or
Okay.
something, or like not 13 mana, 13 like health pots and like 2 mana pots. That was his starting items. I was like, okay, that's an interesting way to play the game. So I think these two players had a pretty big impact on like me playing the game early and then learning from there. Modern players, though, pretty much none of them I care about. I like Magi Felix. I'm friends
Mm-hmm.
with Magi Felix to some extent. Uh, and that was pretty awesome. Like I got like to because he added me at the start of the season and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna play Zillion. I want to talk about Zillion, basically." And so we basically talked about Zillion for the start of the season for ages, and we are learning stuff. And he taught me some things. We talked about lots of things. It was great, and I really look up to him because he's really nice. I really respect someone who's really nice. Never flames, never surrenders, just plays well every game. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, not really. Not
That's
really.
fair enough.
I
Yeah.
think some people look up to stuff like Faker and stuff, and I just think like he's not. He doesn't inspire me because he's too far off for me. Like I'm never gonna be Faker. I'm never gonna be as good as Faker. He doesn't inspire me at all. I don't have no
Mm-hmm.
aspirations to be that good. I can't multi. I can't play 100 champs all to challenger level. It's impossible. Um, what inspires me is people who feel a bit more grounded, who feel a bit more like real, and feel like they're actually enjoying the game.
Mm-hmm.
Magi Felix is one of those where he'll say to me like I'm not gonna play this champ because like it's too hard for me, or I'm not gonna play this champ because it doesn't fit my playstyle. Oh, I know that champ's OP right now, but I just rather play Karma because that's more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me, that resonates with me. And the fact that he managed to be rank 1 for ages while with that attitude is awesome. I think.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, and you seem to have like good mutual exchange. Like he was well, it was like he was willing to learn from you and show you some things
Mm,
with karma, right? Because that was always kind of, or at least recently, that was one of his kind of most played
yeah,
things, right? Or they
yeah, yeah,
popularized it, right? Yeah, interesting.
yeah. I mean, he. Oh, but I love Magi Felix. He's such an innovator, man. Like he, at the start of the season, he was playing top lane TF with like Ghost, Exhaust, and Glacial, and he would rush Swiftness boots and barely lane. I remember looking at his match history, and I played against him. I played against him playing this and being like, "What?" And I would talk to him after the game, be like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He's like, "I don't know. Like, game's crazy right now. 80 carries are so broken, so why not just play TF and run bot at level 4 with Swiftness boots and Ghost on TF?" This is in like 1,500 LP, by the way, that he's doing this. And it's working, and he's winning, and it's why he's rank 1 is because he does stuff like this. He
Hmm.
spots a hole in the meta, and the hole in the meta is top lane is completely useless. AD carry is completely overpowered. Screw top. Bruisers are dead. I'm just gonna pick a Zillion, a Karma, a Janna, a TF in the top lane and run bot at level 4 and lane as 3 bot.
Hmm.
That is the innovating craziness. Obviously, a lot of people were doing this at the time at the start of the season, but he was doing it on a whole different level. Like it was insane, and that's why he was rank 1. And yeah, I remember trying some TF in normals, some TF top because I was inspired. And getting me to play something new is I must be very inspired, yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. Because I hate playing new things. So
Yeah. So that yeah, it's an interesting combination, right? Like he has. And this is maybe what sets him apart and why he continues to get rank 1 is like he has all of the, I guess you'd say, challenger fundamentals. He's got micro good
hmm
enough to be that macro, but then he has this innovation where he can just go, you know what? The game's changed how it was. This is what we need. This is the solution or whatever, or this is what's going to be most effective because this is weaker than it was.
yeah,
So he
it's
just has an eye for
incredible.
these things. That's cool. Yeah. Oh,
He
right.
um he he mains mid, right? But he sometimes plays top lane things. And a good Magi Felix anecdote I have of two here. One is He's mid. He has the last pick. He's got a zillion top because it's me. We're on the same team. And I message him being like, "What do you think's good here?" And I'm like, "Maybe Silas is good here." And he goes, he just locks in Fiora mid. I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "Do you want top?" And he goes, "No, no, no, I'm mid." I'm like, "Okay." Fiora mid, just randomly in our comm. I was like, "Okay." And he just absolutely dominates the game as Fiora mid. He's like one game played of it in ranks. He just wipes out and just dominates the game. And it's like, he picked the right champ for this game. He saw the enemy comp, he saw our comp, and his brain just connected a bunch of dots that I didn't. And he just goes, "Yep, Fiora, perfect pick here, dominates the game." And it's just that's a skill that I wish that I had. I think I'm pretty good at that, but he's on a whole another
Mhm.
level. And another one that he had was last pick. He's top lane. I look at his match history on this. Enemy has Tryndamere top, and he picks Bard. Bard top lane. I'm like, mate, like what? I was like, what are you doing on Bard top? And why do you have Ignite? You had Ignite Bard top. And he goes, well, when Tryndamere dives me, I need Ignite, so at least I can 1-for-1. That was his reasoning. He was a rank 1 player. That's his reasoning. I'm like, what kind of even like game is this? Like, what game are you playing? You're on a whole other planar existence. Bard top with Ignite because Trynd can't dive a Bard top. And Trynd's whole thing is that he dives people. I don't know, man. And then he wins the game, and I'm like, is Bard's secret count as Tryndamere? He's like, no, I don't think so. I just thought it would be funny this game. And that, to me, I think it would be funny this game. That resonates with me on like a. That's all I want to do is pick funny things and have fun, and he's doing it at a level which. Because I said it to him, I was like, man, I'm rooting for you massively. Like, good luck on the rank 1 and everything. Good luck staying there. And uh, he said to me, he was like, League feels a bit like pointless at this point. I mean, if you're rank 1 and no one's contesting you at the point that he was at, he was like, yeah, League feels kind of pointless. He's like, I don't even know why I'm playing. I'm like, he was like, I guess I can go for 2K LP. And he's like, if I get 2K LP, I can end the season happy. I don't think he ever hit it, by the way. He hit like 1,980. It was
Oh
it
my
was
god,
pretty
it was
heartbreaking
right
stuff.
there.
And yeah, he was 1,980 LP. And I remember saying to him like, "Good luck, man. Like, good luck." He's like, "Yeah, if I hit this, I'll be content with League." And I said to him, "You know what? I used to be content just being the best Zillion on EU West, and I was happy. And then you stole that from me. So, you know what? I can't even really be mad. I was just like, just get rank 1, so at least you're using it for something."
Hmm.
But, yeah.
No, that's cool.
No, no, super nice guy. Uh, Shame he doesn't stream. He just plays League. He just likes the
Yeah.
game. I don't even think he's on a pro team anymore. He just plays the game. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like some of these like exotic picks that he's hit out with the Bard top against Tryndamere and stuff like that. It's
I don't understand that
he
one.
must just have like he must be like what is like the keystone champion that's just gonna like bridge this game and just like
Yeah, he looks
perfect
at the
it
game
perfect.
and finds
Good.
the jigsaw piece. That's what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly like the perfect jigsaw piece.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
insane
Yeah. Yeah.
because there is like talking about this sort of thing. There is like people would say like the meta champions, right? Like these are popular because they suit the meta, they're strong at the time, blah blah blah. And like they're just kind of like universally good, but there's sometimes just this pick that just it slots in perfectly, and that's what you needed in that game. It's really cool, man.
Mhm.
And there's 150 different pieces to choose from at this point, so it's
And
not
he can
easy to
play
narrow it
most
down.
of them.
Yeah,
That's what's crazy, and that's
that's
what
cool.
makes a truly awesome player. Is someone who can play most of these picks, knows when to pick them,
Hmm.
and does it with no fear. And being good enough that no one questions it. Mate, imagine if Felix locks in Bard top in your lobby. You don't question that. You just go, awesome. I've got Magic Felix on my team. Like,
That's wild, man. Okay, we'll move on from that. Are there any mice, keyboards, other peripherals or accessories that you swear by?
so back maybe a little bit ago, I remember I used to play. Well, I mean, I've been playing computer games for ages. And I remember everyone used to play Xbox back in the day, and then everyone moved to PC. Um, my PC was I would load it up. It had like 3 viruses on it or something. It was like ransomware on load up, right? And I have to I'd have to spam Control Delete for like 5 minutes. and then I'd delete all the viruses in the task manager, and eventually the PC would work. I'd load up
Yeah.
StarCraft 1, okay, and the game would play fine for about 30 seconds, and then unbearably lag and FPS drop and be
Right.
unplayable. And then I'd have to restart the PC. So 30 minutes of StarCraft 1, I'd play online, I'd play like half a game online, restart the PC, ransomware backup, control these. So it'd be like, that's what I did when I was like 10. That seems normal at the time. I was like, yeah, that's just what PCs are like. Xboxes are fast, PCs are slow. I think from playing with that, I've just kind of built up an immunity to annoyance on PCs. Don't get me wrong, lag and stuff is, if it's affecting gameplay, is
Mhm,
unplayable. But
mhm.
mate, like I've got like a mouse with two buttons. I've got a keyboard that has buttons. It's got the QWER. That's the only ones you need. I don't know.
That's
Some people are like, you need this setup, I need all these mouse buttons and all that. Man, I don't care. I don't even know what my sensitivity is. I think it changes half the time when I'm playing
oh
League.
my
That's
god.
awful, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't recommend it. But it's just kind of how I always played. I just seem to not really care about that kind of stuff. I just kind of go with the flow. Don't know,
This
man.
this is unreal.
I get
I
it.
can't believe I'm hearing this. This helps me a
I get a new mouse when my old one breaks.
bit.
I get a new keyboard when my old one breaks.
Ah,
Uh, yeah, I used to not have two monitors for the majority of time playing League. I would tab out. I would
mhm.
stream with one monitor and tab out to read chat during a game.
Oh,
I don't know. I just seems. I just don't really care. I don't know.
if it works for you, it works.
It seems to have worked. Yeah.
I
It
would say
doesn't.
so.
It's never bothered me. It has never bothered me. So
It's
as
funny.
long as my PC doesn't have FPS problems and I'm not lagging, I'm happy.
Yeah. Like
Easy.
so see for me, I'm the exact polar opposite, man. Like
Oh, I bet.
I need to have like like mouse acceleration off, and then I have like a bunch of settings. Like I know all my settings in League. I keep them in an Excel sheet, and then
Mhm.
I have like now this you might think this is OCD, right? But
Mhm.
see if you go from playing on a say a 27-inch monitor to a 24-inch monitor, your DPI has to change to make it scalable or relative to the size of the monitor and stuff like that, and the resolution and things. So I have like all of these details like in an Excel sheet for if I go to play at a tournament or a different PC that's not mine. So I have it because I notice it if it's not quite right. It's crazy, man. It's like it drives me up the wall. See if I can feel it any different. It just annoys me.
See, if I at any point felt like my keyboard mouse setup was hindering my gameplay, I would
Mhm,
immediately fix it.
mhm.
I can't play without a mechanical keyboard. There's one
Right.
actually. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
If I didn't have a mechanical keyboard, no chance. Dude, people who play on a laptop, what is wrong with you?
Oh.
That's unplayable. With the horrible soft keys that like sink in. Ugh,
Yeah.
jeez.
I'm struggling right
God,
now,
that's
honestly.
unplayable.
I mean, this laptop's okay, but like, yeah, it's definitely not a mechanical keyboard. Like
Uh,
that's just the best.
I think
Uh,
I need my keyboard to like, make the.
The
I love
clickies.
that. It's
The
something that makes me
click.
feel like I'm gaming so hard when I'm like, I love that. I love that. So I think that's my main thing. You know what? Now we've talked about this. A mechanical keyboard. There you go. That's
Okay.
the only thing I care about.
Okay.
Mechanical
No,
keyboard.
I know that's a fair point. Okay. Okay, it's the highlight clip section now. You've
Yo.
given me three clips here. So let's see to the next scene. What do we have? That's there. Okay. Boom. We're on it. Okay. Are you in the watch together?
Aye aye.
Okay. So this is your first clip. Is this? I think this is the one against Caps, right?
Yeah, so I'm playing against Caps. This is a fairly old clip, maybe like a year old. Caps or IGN used to be. It might still be. Insane Danish dude, I think.
Hmm.
And yeah, he's playing. And I picked this one because this is not a show of me being the best gamer. I'm not one of those people who picks those kind of clips,
Hmm.
generally speaking. I just like to show that Caps legendary mid laner,
Mhm.
godlike, whatever LEC winner of however many times, really well known player, is an absolute inting moron in Soloqueue, okay? And anyone who's played with him in Challenger knows you either get caps or you get craps in
Craps.
Soloqueue. And this is a craps moment, okay? So there you go.
Let's see.
Soul Roam, I don't level 1 Aurelian Soul Roam, I don't think's that scary. As roams go.
More than
So,
than us, by the way.
oh yeah, great. Oh. Missed the bomb, huge. Minions got my back though. And note, this is what gets me going in League, right? Is that immediately I'm just laughing because I just think this guy who's playing LEC just lost to me on 1v1 on Zillion at like level 1. It's just really funny. And that's kind of what gets me going. And I think this is going to follow on to the next few clips as well. I'm a firm believer that being challenger is not about being a perfect player. It's really not. It's just about being good enough. And I think there's some people who really beat themselves down over like small things, like, oh, I don't have perfect CS every game, or fuck, like I keep missing like this skill shot here. Just play good enough. Like I'm good enough. Caps is good enough to be challenger. Okay, he does this by the way, like every second game. Okay, and he's just good enough that it's fine, right? So just don't beat yourself up for silly mistakes like that, because
Yeah.
Caps does it too.
I mean, he's definitely one of the best mid laners. Maybe is it like? Do you believe in limit testing? Is limit testing worthwhile? Do you think?
I think limit testing is just maybe going to hurt some people's feelings, but I think it's just what people say when they're bad. I think people know that though. People say like, "Oh, it's just limit testing." Never like, mate, like I've heard some people say they're limit testing, and I'm like, "Mate, you've been limit testing for like 3 years, dude. Maybe you should know your limits by now." Like, I don't know. I think Caps knows his limits. He just doesn't care. He just goes in level 1 and tries to fight you to death because it's funny. Yeah.
It's just like people that get drunk on 2 beers, man. They're just limit testing that they always get drunk on
Yeah,
two
they're just
beers. Or
they're always limit testing. There's some people in a permanent state of limit testing. Yeah.
okay. What about this one? Do you remember this clip? I think is this the
Not right
Yankos
now.
one or?
Well, we'll see. I'm actually
Okay,
not sure.
I'll just hit it then.
You can't dive me. Is the one. So this is Yankos and just a top laner from the US.
That's exactly the plan, man, and I nailed
So
it.
sad so far for them. Okay.
I wanna die as well.
And yeah, this is just some show of some Zillion top laning. Once again, I missed my double bomb. I'm bad, okay? And that's okay. You can be kind of bad. R doesn't proc because he's good. He meant this on purpose.
Yeah.
Then you can use the minions to proc it, and boom. This is the Zillion top in its absolute prime. Like, this is outrageous. Like, this should never happen. You have Camille Graves versus Zillion. It's just so silly.
That's a banger, man.
It's fun.
Do you remember this one?
And then this is my one of show of you really don't need to be good at the game to be challenger. This is the 1,200 LP game, and let's just watch. I buy my item, I TP.
We're coming.
I'm saving the rumble, of course.
Again?
Oh.
How did I
And it's the worst play I've ever made of all
That
time
was a
ever, I
legitimate
think,
fat
probably.
finger, by the way.
Up
do you
there.
Okay, that's the worst play I've
Do you
ever
know
made.
what's so
Really
good about this one? Is the fact that we go from that last clip where you're just auto attacking the shit out of this Graves and Sally.
Yeah.
Doing that, man. Like,
Well, you know what? I'm gonna cap this little meme. This is a meme clip, and it's funny, right? But I really do. This used to get me down all the time. So I play Riven. I get down like I lose to Set in lane. He kills me, and I think, fuck, man, like I'm so bad. And you go watch like a Riven montage, and they're like smurfing it up. You're going crazy. And I looked up to Adrian Riven. He's really really good.
mhm.
And I'd watch him play, and he'd be like, man, he's like smurfing every lane. He's solo killing Renekton's as Riven and Challenger. I'm like, fucking hell. These are the clips you see. Okay, these are the clips they put on their YouTube. These are the clips you see in the highlights. I went on his Twitch, on his VODs, and I looked up a game. Not even on his Twitch VODs. It was on those like Challenger LOL replay videos or whatever. They have like 10 views, right? Riven versus Renekton. He goes like 0-12 in lane as Riven to Renekton. Solo loses the game. Renekton dominates the whole map. He's still challenger on Riven. It's just he fucks up. And I think there's some people who have this like immortal vibe to being challenger. And I
Oh,
just think
okay.
that, mate, I'm a idiot who flashes on the spot, R's myself, doesn't save my rumble. And it's fine. It doesn't really matter. Like I think some people really beat themselves up over little mistakes. And it's don't beat yourself up. Just laugh because it's funny.
No, it's a
Unless
good.
it's all you do, and then you're an inter. But everyone ints a little bit.
Yeah, you're allowed that
Yeah.
once every so often.
Yeah, of
Fine.
course. Yeah,
Fine.
we all get our one a game.
Okay.
That was my one for the week there.
Okay. So this is the personal questions section. Jamie hasn't heard any of these. He hasn't seen any of these before, so
No
they'll be
idea.
kind of off
None.
the cuff.
Couldn't
Uh,
even imagine what they could be.
Some of them
Mhm.
are have come recommended by some of your teammates, like Paul or Roy.
Mhm.
It's maybe an insight into you a bit more.
Okay.
Okay, the first question is play CS per minute, lane only, versus rotating for map opportunities.
Oh well, I mean it's my patented move. I think it's why I hit challenger in the way that I did. It was understanding that the champs that I play, Zillion, Karma, your Sirakas, your Malphites,
Mm-hmm.
these champs don't need CS. Just sack a wave on Zillion and walk bot. Even if it doesn't make any sense, I think this is the big one that people don't get because they watch a lot of videos. So they'll watch a video on CSing and they'll be like, well, you can't roam while your waves crashed. Mate, just go roam while your waves crashed. Who is saying you can't roam while your waves crashed? It feels kind of bad. But you know what feels worse is when you're bot lane and you're chilling and you're having fun and a Zillion just appears and you're like, oh, I'm dead. And we're both dead. And the enemy AD carry is getting both of those kills because Zillion's not taking them. And you lost because now there's an AD carry with 2 kills and a Zillion in the game. The enemy AD carry is 2-0 and has 2 supports. It's got like a Braum and a Zillion, mate. You can't win anymore. You've
No.
lost. There you go. Just sack a wave, get your AD carry fed. Drop the ego. You don't need a carry, man. Like it's fine. Let your AD carry.
No, it's
That's what they're there
interesting.
for.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. So again, that's recognizing your champion's skill set and playing in. So
Mhm.
no, interesting take, yeah. Because I mean, if you watch LOL pros guides or whatever, they would say, "Oh no, you need to be
Oh, they'll
making
never say this
10 CS
ever.
per minute every game, or else
10 CS
you're
per
going to
minute.
lose the game, right?"
Only roam on a freeze or like push first before backing. Mate, like back on a wave crash, walk bot for no reason, get a double kill. Nah.
It
If
just
it works, it
works.
works.
Okay. The question number two. Does listening to Sweet Caroline bootleg make you the best player alive for a split second?
It actually did, yeah. So this is a reference to me playing on stream one time, and so I have a thing where I never ever put music on from audience requests on stream
Mhm.
because you know what happens when you do audience requests on stream? Someone just like links you the Soviet national anthem or something stupid like this, and it's like some meme song or something like that, or like Crazy Frog. And I'm like, mate, we're listening to my good vibe tunes, okay? Like, you can link your music in my Discord, and then it will come on after I've vetted it. But I'm not raw dogging some Soviet
Yeah.
national anthem into my stream, right? Okay, that's not happening. Except for this one time
Right.
where my friend was like, "I'm gonna put
Okay.
a poll in your chat of, uh, if people put like 100,000 points or something on it, then we'll play a song request." And I was
Right.
like, "Okay, fine, sure, chuck it, one song." And it turns out that he puts in a Sweet Caroline bootleg, like insanely heavy. You can look this one up, it'll be on YouTube, just Sweet Caroline bootleg. It's
Okay.
absolutely hilarious. It starts off pretty tame, where it's just like Sweet Caroline. But then instead of like your normal like bum bum bum, it's like this massive heavy future house, like it's like really heavy, like club vibes. And then this drop hit exactly at the moment I was 1v1ing a Camille, and I was going
Right.
absolutely crazy, man. I wish I had it clipped, but it got copyrighted. That would have
Ah,
been the clip that would be in here for
okay,
sure, but it
okay.
got copyrighted and it doesn't exist. But
Ah, man.
absolute top moment for sure. And then I killed the Camille in a 1v1, which was absolutely epic. Yeah, probably one of the best moments on my stream of all time. Yeah, great one.
That's cool, man. That's so funny. I would definitely need to check out this this song.
The song is quite something. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I mean,
is.
it sounds like it's had a profound impact in your life ever since.
It has. It's an unforgettable song. It really is.
Uh-huh. Okay. Oh, actually, oh, I've kind of dropped the ball here, man. We're missing the last personal question.
Missing it.
Missing it. It's actually. Here's a good one. You
All
talked
right, hit
about
me.
music, or like the Sweet Caroline, but like, what's your favorite type of music to listen to when you're on stream? Or do you have like what did you grow up with or something like that? Maybe.
Um, what did I grow up with is a very, very different question to what do I listen to on stream, or a very different answer rather.
Mm,
I grew up with. I mean, both my parents barely listen to music.
okay.
So if you're from Edinburgh, you'll know the radio station Fourth One. It's terrible. It's just chart music. It's awful. So I grew up with chart music.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty good. In the car to school, listening to Dancing in the Moonlight and Coldplay and nothing good. Put it that way. And then you branch off from pop music as an edgy teen into Kerrang, the
Mm-hmm.
radio station. So you
Mm-hmm.
listen to your Blink 182s, your I don't know whatever else. Your Paramores and your 30 Seconds to Mars, which to be honest to this day are still absolutely massive bangers,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not really on my stream. That's the one I listen to
Mm-hmm.
because I think that kind of music's a little bit polarizing. Not that I care that much about polarizing people. If it's good music, it's good. But I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to go on stream and listen to like Paramore because I know there's some people who just don't like that kind of
Yeah,
music.
yeah, for sure.
Um, so what I listen to on stream is like really chill, jazzy, but not jazzy in an annoying way. Not like jazzy in like really slow, try hard piano jazz or something. Jazzy in a way that's kind of like I'm always grooving out. Like I'm always doing this kind of thing on the stream. You'll see it where I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just having
Just
fun.
feeling it.
It's kind of where it's kind of like backgroundy music. There's not very many vocals, or if there are vocals, it'll probably be in a different language because I find vocals a little bit distracting sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm just like grooving out all the time, and it's just fun. And yeah, so I think for actual genres, be like Japanese city pop or like jazz fusion or
Mm-hmm.
synthwave. I really like synthwave. I think that's
Oh,
a great vibe for
Synthwave's great, man.
gaming.
Yeah, yeah.
You're kind of upbeat synthwave. If you want to check out an artist that does good synthwave, go look up Mitch Murder. Absolutely banger. Probably one of my favorite artists, if not my favorite artist, is Mitch
Mm-hmm.
Murder.
Cool.
Amazing. So yeah, that's
Oh,
what's always going to be on my stream. Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
I hope I saved it with that one. Like I feel like
Yeah,
something
that
that
was a good one.
you like. So
Because I like music, and anyone who's into my stream knows the music's a big part. Like they know, because I have a music channel where everyone links their music, and if it's good, it goes in. So people, it's a big thing. So yeah, it's a
mhm.
big part of my stream. Yeah.
Cool, nice one. Yeah. Just like to say thanks again, Jamie. We had some technical difficulties the last week, but we still had a good
Yeah,
chat for
it's
about an
fine.
hour until
Yeah, it was
until
good. I enjoyed
OBS
it.
corrupted my
Yeah,
video.
and then we get to have it all again.
So yeah,
So
just
fantastic.
thanks again for your time, man, and
Hmm.
putting up with us. And yeah, if everyone could give a like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff. Would you like to plug any socials?
Mate, like I don't need to plug any socials, but I just want to give a shout out to Bomb Planners. Thanks everyone
Bomb
for being
planners,
awesome
that's
during
it.
the tournament. If you're still here at the end, and thanks to Flashy for the invite to the team. That was great. And thanks to anyone else who comes to my stream. Thank you.
Brilliant, man.
That
Okay,
is all.
cheers, guys. Have a good night. Take care.
Peace.